Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to season 2 of Conversations in Pop Culture, where I have with me the returning DJ Croft. So, welcome back, man. It's been a while.
Oh, I know it's been a while. I think the last time we interviewed was during fall, back in November. I'm so excited to be back. I'm so excited to be back. I really am.
Yeah, I am excited too. And we're going to sort of, I think, throughout this entire interview, stray away from cosplay for a good
Okay.
chunk of it, but we're going to probably weave back in and out of it. But I do think before we do stray too far away from cosplay, I kind of want to talk about what you're known for. And there's a particular character you're known
I
for.
know where you're going there. I know where you're going.
And I know that we spoke about it before. And for those who saw the interview in November, we're going to talk about it to catch everybody up, and that is Tomb Raider
Okay.
Lara Croft. And you have a very interesting take on Lara Croft where you gender bend Lara
Yeah.
Croft. And arguably, you have taken it, and I don't think I've seen anybody else do it since yours, where you have adapted her entire character as if her character is meant for a guy versus trying to do the female version of it. And might not sound politically correct, and I don't mean any offense by that, but you've legitimately
Mhm.
taken this entire concept and done it from a male's perspective of what
Thank
Lara
you.
Croft would look like if Lara Croft was a guy. and
Yeah.
it sounds
Yeah.
kind of funny when I'm saying it, but where did this entire idea come from, and how did this all develop? And we're going to go through a bunch of pictures and all sorts of cool stuff talking about the
Oh
different
my gosh, you got
variations.
my pictures. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for that. Yeah, I would like to speak on that. Um, again, I want to say it's so great to see you again. I know during pre-show, I was telling you I'm so excited to see you again, Andrew. This is amazing. I just feel like, we definitely connected the first time, so I'm just really happy to be back. Um, but yeah, I can just tell you what kind of went into that. So, I mean, it's a trick. I don't know how to express that. I just like I just remember playing Tomb Raider so much throughout my whole life. Starting playing it when I was like 4 years old. I'm now 27, so I just always grown to really love her character and who she is as an individual, as a fictional individual, which I kind of wish she was real. But I just feel like I guess I'm representing that it doesn't really matter if you're male or female, you can always still relate to a character. And you can always relate to people in real life, no matter if you're female or male. I feel like in society in the United States, here in this country, they tend to separate male and female a lot, and not really, put them to like I guess merge them together as the same, like I guess like gender, if that makes any sense. I'm trying to make sense of what I'm trying to say. But I think that it's frowned upon for a guy to do girly things or to dress up like a girl or vice versa. So I just think that I break the barriers with that. Because I proved that I think that being Laura Croft doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a girl, you know, like, and I think that's what it means for me. I feel like I am Laura Croft. I mean, yeah, yes, you're right. I've created my own version of like as if it was never a female version.
Because to even go further off of that, because typically what we see a lot in the cosplay community, and I don't mean to put anybody on blast, but we see that, girls tend to cosplay and gender bend, guy characters, and we don't see it the other way around. And it's very refreshing to see you take this and do it in the same badass way and not do it as a mashup and actually give it respect to what it is. Because a lot
Mhm.
of times we see these gender bends with a mashup spin to them. And we don't see them being done in that character. It's kind of like we could see, and I had somebody from One Piece on last night on the show, and he's a voice actor. And sometimes we'll see a gender bended Monkey D. Luffy, but it's not the level of badassness that Monkey D. Luffy brings. And with your
Yeah,
version of Lara Croft, you legitly bring that same level that was in the games or was in the movies.
of
And it's
course.
very refreshing to see that.
Of course. What's so funny is actually before this interview, I was actually playing Tomb Raider. I was actually I just got through playing the original Tomb Raider from 1996. I grew up having a game, you know. For those out there who don't know my age, I'm 27, so I'm a 90s kid. So I grew up before, well, I grew up during the first era of PlayStation when they first came out with their big console, PS1. So I just remember, playing Tomb Raider. Like I've had Tomb Raider and I've had Tomb Raider 1 since I was a kid. So I was just upstairs playing Tomb Raider 1, the Egypt level. So I just think that, yeah, of course, I think if I'm going to cosplay a character, I have to be the character. I can't, just half-ass it. you know?
Yeah, no, and I think you do an amazing job with it. And I want to go through some of these, and I got pictures because we're going to
Um,
talk about all of this stuff, and we're
let
going to
me
talk
shoot you down.
about this one first.
Ah, I
So,
would love to talk about this. Yeah.
classic, very much green tank top, orange. You got the gun. Obviously, what was this entire build like for you? Because this is what we're talking about for those who want to know what's going on with how you do it and how you gender bend it. Obviously, this, I think, is in the style of Lara Croft in so many ways.
hmm Um, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I remember that shoot. What's so crazy is originally I'm from Huntsville, Alabama, right? So I used to come here to Atlanta, Georgia for runway shows, modeling shows, because I did a lot of modeling. And so I got in contact with this photographer and I had this idea because I was like, well, I've created this Tomb Raider costume. Now what am I gonna do with it? I want the world to see me in my Tomb Raider costume. So I was like, well, why not take pictures and like put them online? And this was like 2016, right? So this is like I think this is like almost 5 years ago. Yeah. And so I drove here to Atlanta, and we started to shoot up and everything. And only thing that I can remember doing that shoot is I was actually just really amazed. I was just really shocked at the moment. I just remember feeling like, oh my God, I'm like literally becoming Lara Croft. My dreams has come true. I'm finally Lara Croft. And I just and that particular shot, um, that was actually inspired by the front cover of Tomb Raider 2. Um, the front cover when she has her gun like this and she's kind of, having that little sassy smile to the side. Yeah. That's where that inspiration came from. I wanted to really give that sassy, badass like vibe to that image. And I remember we had to take that. I think we had to take that shot like 4 times for me to get the right smile. Because I remember the first shot, my smile looked a little fake. It was like, and yeah, he was like, no, again. I was like, yeah. And then I was telling him, I was like, yeah, let's do it again. I don't really like that. I think it was somewhat between the second, third shot. We got that shot and we eliminated the first, and the last, and I think third. So, and that, yeah, I think that was my first time realizing, like, oh my gosh, like I can really be this character. Like, you know.
So to even go further, because what was that like doing a photo shoot? And I'm not too sure if this was your first one, but it might have
Yeah,
been.
it was.
And what was that entire experience? Because it is a big step as a cosplayer,
It
and
is.
it's an even bigger step for a male cosplayer. And I hate to create this divide because there shouldn't be in cosplay, but it is harder for male cosplayers. I don't think
Yes,
that
I agree.
I don't think
I
that that's controversial at all. I think it's a pretty well known fact, and Instagram numbers don't lie on this
oh
either, where it is
my
very
God.
hard for a male cosplayer to get, 500,000 people following him on Instagram. It's much easier for
Yep.
a female cosplayer to do it. And nothing against anybody in particular, but, it's kind of just the way the system is set up. And so what was that like for you, really getting connected with a photographer who wanted to do it? Because sometimes there's also discrimination with photographers not wanting to work with men. And
Yes. Yes. You know what? It's so crazy you bring this up because going to cons, I always meet these creeps That's exactly what they are. They're creeps that just tend to only shoot females. Anybody's like really like weird guys that that I would approach, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, man, I only really shoot females," and I'm like, "Really?" So like, I just get I just get confused, and I'm really happy that you touch on that topic because I just feel like for me, I mean, yeah, I agree. In the cosplay world, I feel like women have an upper hand because we live in society where, unfortunately, because I want to say unfortunately, because it could be a fortunate thing, but then a bad thing too. But unfortunately, in my eyes, women are really seen as like how can I say this in a specific way? I think
I could say I could throw something out there. So I am a heterosexual man,
yes,
and so I enjoy a certain type of woman. I enjoy certain provocativeness. I enjoy certain playfulness, and
yes,
so as a guy, and I'm big into this company called Zenoscope, and they have playful, fun covers with their characters looking sexy and everything in between, and so that's how I view, and I don't think it's a little bit, you can make the argument that's a little bit objectifying and touch upon that a little bit
yeah,
and go
yeah,
down
yeah.
this
That's what it
position.
is.
But also, there's nothing wrong with me as a guy saying, oh man, she looks smoking hot.
Of
You know,
course.
at the same time, Laura Croft looks like a freaking smoking hot girl. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and there's some amazing cover art by Adam Hughes then on comics that makes her look awesome, and she's a badass too, and it's an amazing comic cover. So my point is
Mm-hmm.
that I think that's where you're going, is that there's a little bit of objectifying, and when we talk about discrimination and photographers not wanting to shoot men, there might be a little bit of that in play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you basically just took the words out of my mouth. I'm gonna admit it's been harder for me in the sense of trying to gain a lot of, certain followers and things. Because I see a girl, she can dress up like Lara Croft, look just like me, and she can get like, hundreds of thousands of likes when I'm
She could
doing the
look
same
worse than you.
thing she does. But not no shade, not no shade to the girl that does it. I'm really proud of her, whoever she is that does Lara Croft. Kudos to her. But I think that there needs to be a shift in mindset in the cosplay community because I feel like the audience don't realize how that affects the people that they see on social media. It hasn't really affected me personally, but it can affect another guy that is struggling out
I
there.
also think it's also saying this entire thing where I don't think the craft skill of building a cosplay changes whoever's building it. And I think that's also a factor in this too, where, the way you build your Lara Croft cosplay and the way a girl builds it, still the skills are both there. And the
Yeah.
skills can be, appreciated. For instance, I could just say, hey, I'm attracted to that female Lara Croft because I'm attracted to women. But I could say, dude, you rock this Lara Croft cosplay, and how'd you do this gender bit? This is awesome at the same time.
Mhm.
And so it's not you have to choose one or the other. You can appreciate both, but I feel like with male cosplayers, that skill set and oh, you worked your ass off on this. Oh man, I struggled to build the armor on this thing isn't as much appreciated per se.
And no, I just don't know why. I don't understand.
Because to me, it's you could appreciate the skills and the build of something separated, and I can separate how something is built from the person wearing it, from what they're trying to accomplish, from the idea of the concept, and all of that. And so that's how I view it: is that there are four separate things that can all come together, can be interwoven. But I can say,
Mhm.
"Oh man, this is such a cool concept," versus, and then I can just appreciate the concept, and then I can find 10 people to execute the concept, and they'll have a different way they execute it.
Mhm.
So super interesting. But enough about that. I do want to throw up another one of these to throw this out there. So this
Ah,
is as soon as hopefully there we go.
there we go.
That's
What was
the
that one?
same one, bomber jacket, right?
Yes. Tomb Raider 2, Bomber Jacket. Yeah. I remember that day. I remember that day. I think it was January. Yeah, it was January of 2019. It was kind of cold outside, so the jacket was appropriate for the scenery. Yeah, I was with my boyfriend. He took the shot. Um, that idea of that particular pose just came from, I guess, something that is related to Lara Croft. I guess. I mean, I don't think I've seen her do that pose in any wallpaper per se, but that's something that I just got inspired to do. But that shoot that day was actually pretty awesome. Yeah.
So to even talk about that, because I like the fact that you take the regular orange pants, green tank top, and then you throw a bunch of guns in there, and you actually have a bomber jacket in there, because it does change the cosplay.
It
But it
does.
also doesn't add all that much more work into the cosplay, and it gives it
Right.
more flexibility. And also, one of the things about your cosplays that are nice is that they're actually durable. It sounds like a crazy thing, but for those who don't know, I'm going to talk about this in a second here. You have made a bunch of fan movies and a bunch of trailers with Lara Croft and a few other cosplays, and you've actually worn these cosplays in it. And
Yes.
they're durable and they're sturdy, and
They are.
that's part in of itself to make something that looks authentic, looks like the character would wear it, but also could take a beating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
saying we're beating your cosplays, because we love your cosplays, but it's the idea that, if somebody rustles up against it at a con, the thing's not going to fall apart.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really big on that. I'm really big on making sure my cosplay costumes are adorable because here's the reality. If I'm not confident in it, I'm not gonna be confident to be the character. So I feel like the character. So I've always made sure as I'm crafting my costumes, I kind of make them durable. Super glue and sewing, and sometimes hot glue is my best friend because that keeps stuff from breaking. You know, um,
Because
yeah.
the worst thing that could happen at a con is your cosplay starts falling apart.
Oh my God, that has
Have you ever
happened.
seen it? Have you ever seen that in real time?
I have, and I
It's
have.
bad. It's bad.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Hey, imagine if someone, doing a cosplay competition where they're on the stage, showing off the cosplay and it just breaks on them. That would be a sad day. Yeah, and that's something I don't want to happen to me if I were to compete. So I was trying to make sure myself is durable and tight.
Well, technically speaking, and this is an idea for somebody, what they should do is that they should go on a cosplay stage and purposely have their cosplay sort of break. But underneath their breaking cosplay will be their real cosplay they're trying to show off to the judges, and they do it in such a style, and they pull like a Katniss from the Hunger Games with her
Oh
dress.
my
It would be
God,
the
you gave me
most
some ideas.
brilliant thing ever for somebody to do that.
Oh my God, you just gave me some ideas.
Feel free, everybody watching that, to steal this idea, because I will happily take credit for it. Because if you think about it, you're gonna win so many points because everybody in the room is gonna go, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's gonna be amazing. Amazing to do that. But
Hilarious.
continue talking about Lara Croft here, because that's a way sidetrack.
Yeah, that's actually pretty awesome. Yeah, I think the question before, I don't think I answered it right. I think you asked dang, was it that you asked that I didn't answer?
No, because obviously your cosplays are extremely durable,
Yeah.
and it's a nice thing to actually see a cosplay have some practical use, because you do all these fan movies and
Yeah.
directing stuff and actually going into the woods and
Yeah.
actually having things brush against it or climbing up on a
Yeah.
rock. I mean,
Wood, dirt, leaves, grass, all that stuff. So I try to make sure that all my stuff is durable. Speaking of that, my Tomb Raider fan films. I don't know if anybody have seen. I have a new fan trailer that's going to be releasing this Friday. Another Tomb Raider project that I've been working on this past
so
weekend, Easter holiday.
let's talk about because this is 4 or 5, right?
This will be the fifth one. This is but it's not an actual fan film. It's a fan trailer. Um So because the difference with the fan film, they're usually longer than like 1 minute or like 5 minutes, 12 minutes. This is the fan trailer. It's sort of gonna be like a small little trailer, like a minute. It's a small project, but it does continues the it is a part of that same universe with my fan films. It is a shorter, project.
So let's talk about that because obviously the next thing that's continuing it is coming.
Yeah,
But what prompted you to want to go and do film stuff and create fan films and actually utilize your cosplays and do this entire stuff? Because it is cool and it is fun and fan film stuff is awesome if it's done well. And so, what prompted that? Because you're directing it, you're the star of it, you're sort
yeah,
of filming it and doing a lot of the editing and you're really heavily involved.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm heavily involved in like everything I do with the fan films. I think what really inspired me to do a Team Murder fan films or just fan film in general is I wanted to take my cosplay to the next level. Yes, taking pictures are great, and people see you taking pictures, but you're still like you don't move, you know. So I wanted I wanted the audience and for people to see me move, be like alive in my cosplay, and something to be remembered by. They can always go back and find me to watch me, my cosplay. So I think that's what it was. I just wanted to take my cosplay to the next level. Because I'm not gonna lie, I usually find myself believing that I'm in a movie every day. Seriously, seriously, I'm not gonna lie. It's either Resident Evil or it's Tomb Raider. Like I find myself in these like moods where I feel like I'm surviving this T virus outbreak. I'm like Alice, which I do cosplay as her from the movies. Because you know what it is. I think I just see myself as a survivor. Through all the trauma and things that I've experienced in my personal lifetime. So I think that's why I do relate to these strong characters in that way. And I think that's where that idea comes from. Andrews, I just wanted to bring my cosplay to life, take it to the next level, challenge myself.
Also, and I would imagine to some degree that this makes you even more competitive because not a lot of people in the cosplay community are doing stuff like this. And that
Really?
doing a fan film and actually utilizing the cosplays that you create and that you have pictures of and that you bring to cons and then throwing them out into a movie. And even if it's 5 to 10 minutes, it is a different product and not that many people are doing it because a lot of these people who have all these Instagram followers, their cosplays are very, very delicate. They're
Yes.
not rough and
Yeah.
tumble and they're not durable. And I
Mhm.
don't think that they also are necessarily creative because their business model is very different than
Mhm.
because they're in a business with what they're doing. And so
Yes.
they have to take pictures for Patreon and they have to go and do like a 12-hour shoot every weekend with their cosplays and they don't want to get it messed up or they're in their cosplay in a booth and so they can't go have mud on their cosplay. While with you, you're like, hey, I'm doing this because I just want to do this, and then you're now doing a whole different product. And I
Yeah.
think that's the future because we're right now in a content-driven world. I'm
Yeah.
a
You are.
major content producer. I mean, if you look at big companies out there, and maybe this weekend should give an idea of what I'm referring to, I produce content not at their level per se, but I'm
Mhm.
producing about a third of what they produce a year.
Yeah.
Somebody who has legitly on a budget of like $1,000. And I'm not
Mhm.
saying I'm competing with that company. And I think everybody who's checking out, it's Saturday and Sunday night. It's big down in Florida. What's going on? I produce about a third hour wise that they produce. And you're a content producer too. So what is
Of
that?
course.
Because I think this is the future in many ways.
Yeah, I agree. I agree because I think that technology's taken over. I mean, we're in the 20s now, 2021, 2022. So I just see technology evolving more than what it was. I have to be quite frank that I have to say me and you were the last generation that grew up without technology. Well, we had technology, but it wasn't like accessible like it is now. So I feel like us as millennials, we're like the last generation that grew up without technology. Kids now, they get quiet when you put a tablet in front of their face or a video game in front of their face. And and that's a little concerning for me. But
So
the same,
I'll ask you a question because I'm
yeah,
curious. I don't have kids. I don't think you have kids.
no, I'm not the kids.
Not yet, at least. Not yet, at least.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
10 years, you and me are going to both have bags under our eyes. But anyhow,
yeah. I mean, I hope not. I hope you don't have. I sound
wait till you have a kid, and then you and me will talk in 10 years. We'll have this
yeah.
conversation. But anyhow, my question, because I was on somebody else's podcast, and I asked this question too. And given that we're talking about technology, do you think that today kids are smarter, or do you think they're lazier due to the internet? Because my version is that I think kids have more access to information and they have
Correct.
more potential to become smarter. But I actually
Correct.
think kids are not smarter. I think kids
Correct.
are actually dumber because they actually don't know how to read between lines and a bunch of other stuff. And our generation knows how to do things. Like I know how to talk to somebody who I've nenever met before. And it
Same.
sounds like a crazy thing. And
Same.
I don't know any like 5-year-old per se, because I don't have any nieces or nephews yet. But I'm going to be terrified, or when I have kids, I'm going to be terrified of my 6-year-old when I have a 6-year-old doesn't know how to talk to somebody they never met before, and
I
it's a
know.
real concern.
I know. Honestly, I agree with everything you're saying, 100%. My boyfriend has nieces and nephews, and I don't know, but they're also from a different culture too, so they're more family oriented. So, but I do find the kids be on the tablets and iPads though. Um, but I don't know. I'm not really enough. I'm not really around enough kids to know how they really are nowadays. To be honest, I'm not sure, but I agree with what you're saying because they do have access to be intelligent. But I think what's happening is they're using their devices, but they're getting distracted with TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat. Which as millennials, that's what we use too. But they're not. They're getting distracted with those apps instead of searching how did humans humans become the way we are now, or searching how do people have babies, or searching how does grass grow, to
Or
become
even searching something like how does blockchain work?
yeah.
So something even now they're searching. Hey, who's the biggest TikTok star? And like that's what
Right.
people are searching, and then they're like, oh, let me go look at Howie Mandel spinning around 15 times on TikTok.
Yeah, I know. And I think that's concerning to me because I feel like nowadays kids do have the potential to be more intelligent than what they're being distracted with, you know.
Yeah, like we're being distracted right now on a cosplay interview.
I mean, hey, they're gonna learn something today. They're gonna learn something today that you can be whoever you want to be, no matter if you're a guy or girl, be whatever character you want to. And
And
how about
I'm gonna throw up a bunch of other Tomb Raider stuff because I want to bring it back. So
yeah?
obviously this is another one, and this
Oh,
is black tank top and then
yeah,
shorts or half pants, half shorts. This is
yes,
you on a motorcycle.
yes,
This
yes,
is the I guess bow and arrow silver dark blue one, and then
yes,
this is the I think a similar one to that. Maybe it's a
yes,
little bit the shirt's a little bit newer, and we got the bow and arrow and like sort of her like hand weapon type stuff
yes.
out there, and then this is another cool shot.
Oh yeah, that one.
I
Oh my
like
god.
this shot the most. So obviously, I just threw a bunch of Tomb Raider, a bunch of variants out there, and so obviously, you got a lot of Tomb Raider stuff that you've done, and a lot of versions, multiple video games. I mean, Lara Croft has 25 years, and she doesn't look a day over 30, which is amazing.
Tell me about it.
I've been waiting to use that line for a long time. So
Yeah, that last picture you put up, the one where I'm, jumping. That, oh my God, when I do action shots, man, they usually take a while. because my boyfriend is my photographer, so he takes all my photos. He's been such a tremendous support for me, but he's like no, do it again, and I'm like really, and he's like no, do it again. I'm like really, and I'm
So
like
he's your toughest critic then.
yeah, he is. I mean, personally, yeah, I know too when I go look at the photo, I'm like nah, yeah, you're right, we need to do it again. That shot, it took us, whew, that shot, man. We had to do like I think 8 shots to get that shot. Because when you're doing action shots and you're a cosplay or whatever you're shooting, it has to be that right picture because you're like jumping, and gravity pulls us back down. So it's harder for the photographer as well. So we're both trying to figure this out. And so we managed to get the right shot on that one.
So
And that's
let's talk about that for a second, because
yeah, yeah,
obviously your boyfriend knows you very, very well. So
yeah.
because obviously the two of you are a couple, so he knows you, and I'm not going to pry too much into this. So obviously he knows what's going to work with you. He knows what you're looking for. Also,
Yeah.
he knows that certain things are just not going to work with your personality, and that
Yeah.
certain things you can't do physically. I mean, we all have
Yeah.
limitations. And so it's probably a real advantage to have, just beyond a professional relationship, but to also have that personal relationship, because that gives more insight into the connection. And then obviously, you two are together. So it changes the way things are being done. And it's
I
a real
agree.
advantage when you're shooting photos. And
I
that's
agree.
some really cool action shots that, while some professionals, and not to throw the entire thing that we were speaking about with the creepy photographers at cons, because there's some good ones out there, but
Yeah.
even still, they might have a professional relationship over 10 years with a cosplayer, but you're not living with that cosplayer unless you're a husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend, which also changes the dynamic. But if you're living with somebody and then you're taking photos of them and you're eating dinner together and not talking about cosplay, or you're playing Tomb Raider together, you're going to know what works. And so what is that like for you? Because it's a game changer to some degree.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, it's it is a game changer for me because I have to say, when I would have other people do my shoots, um, it's different. It's like I can just see the difference in the photo quality and the way I am in the photos versus the photos that I've taken with my partner. Um, yeah, yeah, I agree. It is some form of an advantage because I feel like I'm not throwing all photographers under the bus, but there are like one or two out there that would snap a shot and say, "Oh, you look fantastic," and then you believe in they look fantastic, and you post it, and you get 23 likes or no likes, and you're looking like horrible in the image. So I think I have that advantage as far as like I have someone that I can trust. He's gonna tell me when I look a hot mess in the photo, and he's like, "No, let's do it again." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah." So I just think,
And even going further off of that, because my dad is an amateur photographer. He enjoys it. It's a hobby of his. And so
yeah.
he'll take, he went to Africa a few years ago and took a bunch of shots of like lions and elephants, all sorts of stuff. And he took like 7,000 shots over
Oh
the
wow,
course of, yeah, probably took more than that. Probably took like 20,000. And
Joe,
then
wow,
didn't even look at any of that till he came home, right? Because it's all digital, so you don't need to worry about deleting anything until you find the one. And so obviously that's helpful as well. But also, I would imagine that the two of you are going through some of these photos and you're like, that's bad, and then it's also that as well of which ones to even post up. Even if you have like 4 good ones, he's probably helping you figure out to throw which one on Instagram. That's the
hmm
best, which is also helpful at the same time.
yeah, yeah, it really is. It really is, and I just think that it really helps with photography, and I just hope whatever cosplayer out there that's watching this, I just want to encourage you guys and to send a message that just be mindful of what photographer you choose to take your photos because you have to find someone that's genuine, that genuinely wants to see you look good in front of the camera versus them getting photos for their portfolio.
And I would even add, you also have to find somebody you trust, somebody who works blend with your personality.
Yeah.
I'm teaching a class on comic book investing, and I am very much a hard ass in my class, where I go fast, I go hard, I go
Mhm.
aggressive. I'm not yelling at you, but I'm going to tell you what I think, and I'm going to give it to you very raw because I'm pumping it into you and I'm hammering it into you. If
Right.
you're not the type of person that likes to be hammered into, okay, or doesn't want to be given a whole block of information, and you're saying, "Oh my God, I'm overwhelmed," and you could rewatch it. It's not like one and done. I'm not cutting anybody off. If you want to watch my class 90 times to get what you need out of it, that's cool too. But
Hmm.
and I encourage that. But I give you a lot of information. I drive it in hard because this is just how I teach. And some photographers are going to drive things in hard and they're going to push you in a harder way. And you're like, oh man, I don't want to do this. But they're going to go and they're not trying to be mean to you, but they just know what's going to work. And they
Yeah.
want to do 15 different shots because they know 3 of them are going to be really good. Other people are going to hold your hand more. And so it's finding that too. What
Yeah.
works with your personality.
Yeah. And you know what? You know what? I've experienced that before with a few photographers because like I mentioned earlier, that I was in in modeling. I did a lot of modeling in my earlier 20s. So I've been in runway shows where the director was kind of harsh, but they kind of knew what was going to work. So I just trusted their instincts, and then the fashion show will always turn out like super nice and perfect. Even with shoots, I've been in situations where I walk in and I'll feel hostile because the photographer will be kind of like, like direct. But I noticed that it was always for a reason because it would make me look good. It would make the photographer look good. So I've been in situations like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just something I think mindful, but I do think it is an important decision for cosplayers in both sexes. To be very mindful of who you work with, and also even do research on who you're working with too, because obviously, and this is a little bit off topic, but the wrestling world, for those who don't know, in 2020 and about 4 weeks ago, there's a big incident where, and I'm not going to go too much into it, but it's pretty public with a company that's no longer happening around in New Jersey. And if you would like to research it, just type in defunct New Jersey company and
Hmm.
you'll pull 20 stories real quick.
Oh,
Um,
God.
the idea is that all these people didn't know who they were working with, and they were working with a more or less a convicted sex offender.
Oh, my God.
Nobody knew for like 17 years, and nightmare of a situation, and a lot of people got burned. Not, and their brand got hurt. And let's be realistic here. Statistically, there are probably some photographers just based on numbers in the U.S. and everything in between, and cons don't check. But let's be realistic. So be mindful. Not trying to scare anybody. Not trying to create propaganda. But statistically, there are people out there. Just saying, you have to be careful with who you work with.
Yeah. Yeah. And that kind of, goes back to what I was just saying earlier. You have to be really careful with your and like who you decide to be your photographer because like you don't know if they're genuine, you don't know if they have your best interests. Yeah, like I said, they can just snap a shot. And about okay, yeah, oh yeah, that's the shot. You look amazing. And then they're just embarrassing you in front of the world. Or they're trying to murder you, or they're trying to rape you and things. It's kind of
Or,
crazy.
or there's politics. There's politics in cosplay. For those who don't know, there is massive politics, and as a guy, you are spared from a boatload of it. I'm not even joking because the problem is that when you get into the top 50 cosplayers, everybody's vying for a spot and everybody's making money on Patreon and people are bitchy. And it's a nightmare. There are horror stories of people stating certain things and engaging and having interactions, and even with small cosplayers. I've run into cosplayers who've been very, very standoffish, and I'm buying your print and you're standoffish to me. I'm legitimately putting money into your wallet and you're acting like an asshole. to me when I'm paying you. Okay? If I'm paying you and I'm legitly putting money into your wallet and you act like an asshole, that means that you're going to fail at business.
Yeah,
Anytime
that's
somebody
nice.
anytime somebody puts money in my wallet and I sell comics on eBay, I send a very nice message to them and say, hey, can I get you anything else? Are you interested in anything else? I can combine shipping if you need something else. Just let me know if you need something else. In 3 months from now, if you need something, let me know. And I never met any of these people face to face. And
Right.
I'm super, super helpful. And turns out when I do that, I want to make in 3 or 4 more sales on the same order and making more money and actually running a good business.
Yeah, I think that's just comes with having good customer service. And unfortunately, the new generation that we are dealing with right now these days, they don't have good customer service. You walk into, their business, they don't even help you. They're just like, okay, how are you? And then that's it.
It's even worse where there's people from our generation because I'm 28, you're 27.
Yeah.
So we grew up in the 90s. I mean, I was born in 93. You were born either late 90s.
93,
You were probably born what, November, December?
August.
That's so back second, third, for lack of a better word here. But anyhow, the whole
Yeah.
point is that even people from our generation have horrendous customer service.
Yeah, I agree because because you know what? Because we're still on that cusp of what is it? Gen Z, the generation after us. So we still have like that very, I don't know, like there's some individuals that still, I don't know. I feel like for us, since we're born in '93, we're kind of like on the cusp of Gen Z. So I can see why that exists because everybody doesn't have good social skill these days because of technology. So I can see that millennials
When
not.
you're not putting money in your pocket and you're standoffish to me, and I'm
That's
literally paying a cosplayer who's my age or older, you should have better customer service.
yeah. I mean,
It's not an issue anymore of being Gen Z or anything. It's just like this is a key attribute of your business, and you have
yeah,
horrendous customer service. And what's even worse is that half the people who are in the top 50 cosplays, they don't even have the right staff around them understanding what's valuable and what's not.
I mean,
It's insane.
I
And
mean, yeah.
I know the politics of this because I find it fascinating. I'm a political science major, and this stuff is so interesting because it's so indicative of
Mhm.
what our government is and what the world is.
Yeah,
Legitimately, it is a microcosm. If you took the entire top 50 cosplayers or the top 100 cosplayers and compared it to a prison, it's almost identical. It's insane. It is disturbing and fascinating, and it's such a cool thing to witness. And like as a spectator, and I know it sounds messed up what I'm saying to some degree, it is awesome. Like you want to have a reality show, man, get the top
you
50
know
cosplayers,
what?
put them in a house, give them some alcohol, and you got a hit on your hand. Call MTV up because I'm in.
Yeah. And you know what? You know what? From your perspective, I can see what you're saying. It'll be a great entertainment to watch. But reality is, it's still kind of sad. It's kind of like that situation where it's like a paradox. Like, oh, it's really sad and horrible that this is this, but at the same time, it is entertaining. I'm not gonna
Hey,
lie.
if you want in on it and make some money with me, I mean, you'll have a difference of
Yeah,
opinion
okay, yeah, sure. You know
because
what?
money cures everything.
Yeah, it does. You know
See,
what?
your opinion's changing.
You know what? Speaking about Patreon, I feel funny about having a Patreon. You know why? Because I see these cosplayers and they want people to give them money and things. I just feel really funny about that.
So,
Because
so, so let me ask you a question on that.
yeah,
So, do you think that do you think there's a difference between cosplay and softcore porn? And I say it
wait,
that way,
you said what now? Uh,
softcore porn, because the whole thing, what's going on Patreon, in my opinion, and OnlyFans too, is that we get all these lewd shots of people dressed as cosplayers
oh my
versing
god! Yeah,
versing cosplay and print sets. And look, it's America. I am totally cool with that. But we as a community, because the cosplay community is not just them. Okay, that is a small subsection that makes up 3% at the best. The
Yeah,
cosplay community is the guy who's dressed up as Mario with his dad as Luigi, going to Awesome
yeah,
Con in Washington D.C., having a good time, or me dressed as like a character from an anime, and I'm not a professional cosplayer, or somebody just dressing up as a character having a good time at a
yeah,
con. That's the cosplay community.
yeah. Correct,
So
correct.
that's where I get tricky about Patreon and all that stuff for me, where it's just like this idea of, okay, when you're now selling lewds, you're now entering a whole different ball game
Yep,
of cosplay where, and that's cool. I got no problem with it as far as it's a free country and anything like that, but
it's a
it's
free
also,
country.
we're entering a pornographic type position to some degree.
Yeah, I wanted to speak on that because with the whole Patreon and the OnlyFans thing, yeah, and the whole thing with cosplay becoming a little sexual.
Risque.
Um,
Risque.
yeah,
I
for
like that
me,
word.
yeah. For me, I feel funny about people giving me money. I mean, for what? Like, why do I need someone to why do I want someone to treat me like I'm a charity case? Not saying that's how they feel. I respect them who has Patreon, but I just feel like the way I was raised as a young man, to always be independent, don't depend on no one. So I just feel really funny about strangers giving me money.
So
Because I feel
let
like
me ask
I
this.
my own money.
So let me ask this: if you go to a con and you have a bunch of prints, do you feel that that's charity, or do you feel that hey, you're exchanging goods? Because I view that as an exchange of goods. I don't view a cosplayer selling prints or a photo with them at a con per se in a booth, and they're a little bit of a celebrity as a charity case. But I do view this idea of become a Patreon. Maybe it's not 100% a charity case, but at the same time, it's also super odd to me, and I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get why people flock to it unless what it is that, I mean, I'm not going to say who the cosplayer was, but I saw something where she's like, oh, all these guys follow me and then they DM me and say, do you want to hook up? And yet she's posting all this lewd stuff. And I'm not saying that, just because somebody dresses and puts out them in a provocative way, they want your dick in their DMs, and that they shouldn't be subjected to that. But if you also put out an advertising, your brand is advertising something, you're going to attract a certain behavior. You
Yeah,
know, I'm a
exactly.
money guy. I attract financial people
Yeah,
to my comic book class.
exactly. Yeah.
I'm talking about their money and then in comics and how to make money with comics. I'm attracting people who have a product or have comics and like, man, I want to make money with this
Yeah.
stuff. I have a certain behavior. So that's how I view it is that, and look, I'm not saying that cosplayer, I don't want her to get dicks in her Twitter position per se, and she doesn't deserve that. But you're
Right.
also throwing something out there where you're now entering a lewd thing, and let's be realistic, there's some awkward people in anime, people who are into pop culture. There's a lot of people who are socially appropriate, and there's some people who are socially awkward, and now you're attracting both of those types of groups.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I see exactly what you're saying. Um, I'm gonna be honest. Patreon, yeah, it has its perks. Because personally, yeah, I would love to exchange goods with people appreciating me as a cosplayer and they want prints. But I think maybe I'm getting confused with what is it? What is it? Cool. It starts with a K, where it says "Buy me coffee."
Coffee. Yeah, coffee.
Yeah, yeah,
K-O-F-I. Coffee.
yeah, yeah. For me, I wouldn't do that either because I'm just like, I feel funny about that because I don't want to be in a position where I feel like I'm taking advantage of my supporters, my fans, and like my followers. Giving me free money. What I'm saying, and just not really like reciprocating love and or some kind of product to them.
I mean,
You know.
it's weird for me because I run this show and I run another show too.
Mhm.
And people say, "Oh, you should create a Patreon." I'm like, why would I go create that? What perks am I bringing? What knowledge am I bringing? And are people really going to sign up and say, "Hey, man, I want to join your Patreon and I want to do X"? And it's like I'm saying to myself also, like, how would it work with my guests and all that stuff? And they're giving their time for me for free, and like it's just weird to me in which that
Yeah.
if you want to support me and you want to make a PayPal donation and you say, hey man, I just want to throw you $5 because I understand that your hosting and your StreamYard and all this stuff actually costs money, and I want
Mhm.
to go and I like what you do, and every day you're doing this, like I'm okay with like a coffee or a PayPal. But
Yeah.
Patreon, like to me, I don't get what you're doing, especially it also gets weird because you're in some degree selling your body. And again, I think it's a free country. I tend to be libertarian, but at the same time, this is like a weird thing because like I'm not saying it's prostitution, but it kind of is in that sector. It's just weird for me, where I'm like,
Yeah. I agree here. Same here. And with the OnlyFans thing, since we brought it up, that's a new thing that everybody's starting to get on now. Not everybody, but some people. And also with cosplayers, I never knew cosplay could become what's the word I'm looking for?
that's
Sex.
wholesome. That's wholesome.
Yeah, I yeah. Like I never knew that would be a thing until now. Like for me personally, like you said, yes, I agree. This is a free country. I'm not trying to step on anyone's shoes. You can be whoever you want to be. I respect that as long as you're a kind, sweet, nice person. That's what really matters at the end of the day. But me personally, I just want to put myself out there like that. I just have a level of respect for myself. My body, but not saying that those people don't. I'm not saying who does OnlyFans they have less respect for themselves. I'm not saying that because, like I said, I'm pretty sure they're amazing individuals doing their thing, making money. But I just feel funny about kind of putting my body out there like that.
It's a weird thing. It really
Yeah,
is.
yeah, and they have to think you have parents. They have social media too. So what if they find you and they see doing all these news and things? So it's really tricky. You have to be really careful.
And look, and let's also be honest. I mean, nothing disappears from the internet, you
No.
know, ever. And so, God forbid, this entire thing shifts,
Yeah.
and you're not the new kid on the block anymore, and somebody takes
Yeah.
your spot, and then you're out of your spotlight. And while you made a bunch of money, money doesn't go that far. If you have $1 million in America, $1 million is a lot of money, but it's not a hell of a lot of money.
No, not these days. Maybe back in the 16th century, where a dollar was worth $200 back then. But and you also got to be careful because especially, when you are looking for a real daytime job. I mean, yes, there's ways that you keep those things private and all that stuff, but I just feel like to some degree, at some point in an individual's life, that stuff can come back and bite you. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't really get into all that stuff. I have respect for. I want people to see me as DJ Croft, the cosplayer, not the DJ Croft that they want to go have sex with. That's
And
that.
also, it
No.
has to affect your mentality. It has to affect, if you're putting out lewds, it has to affect your partner. It has to affect who you're dating. It has to affect how they view you. I mean, I want people to see me as an interviewer. I want to be taken serious as an interviewer. I don't want to be taken serious as a sex object. I'm a single guy. Like, if I go out there and let's say I had 30,000, followers, and I was a celebrity in my field, I want to be taken seriously. And if
Right.
you're a cosplayer spitting at lewds, I mean, that's got to affect your partner. That's got to affect who
Yeah.
you're attracting. That's got to affect your psychology. And look, it is. I mean, I don't know how I would feel if my girlfriend was doing it, because I don't want to step on her toes, but at the same time, it's gonna be a very different relationship. I would
Yeah.
imagine it's the same thing with a guy. If he's putting
I
out,
think so. I think those individuals, they need someone that's just like them. That's how, they will work, But
I guess. I
yeah,
guess.
yeah, yeah.
But I digress. In which that it's super weird, and but again, it's a free country, and everybody can do what they
Yeah, of
want.
course.
I'm totally cool with that. As long as you're not hurting me or you're
Yeah,
not breaking the
exactly.
law, I'm totally cool with that. You can be a mean
Yeah,
person too, for all I care, because
yeah,
I think those things will work themselves out. I think capitalism always works. I really
yeah,
do.
yeah.
95% of the time.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying. As long as you're a nice, kind person, you're not really, doing anything to hurt anybody. Hey, I'll be your friend. Yeah, hey, let's go out and get drinks. You know what I'm saying? Like, definitely, like, do you? That's
And
what.
so,
Huh.
obviously, I want to back out of this topic because it's
Yeah,
enough controversy, and obviously, Laura
yeah,
Croft's
yeah,
got
yeah, yeah,
years,
yeah, yeah.
a lot of cool stuff. So obviously, I just want your take. What do you thought about the entire thing that was announced? Because it really wasn't that big of a deal. What they
Yeah.
announced, it was pretty hyped up 3 weeks ago with Square Enix, and it was a pretty far let down with what's coming.
Oh, you're talking about with the 25th anniversary, their showcase for their games, right?
So basically, we got three remastered games, right? We got an animated series come out. We got Tomb Raider the remake slash new version, whatever, with Alice, I think something. I can't say her last name.
Oh
And
yeah, okay, okay, yeah, the sequel to the Tomb Raider movie reboot. Yeah.
yeah, and then we're getting a cookbook, I think. And I don't know what else. I don't know what else. Oh yeah, Fortnite skin, Final Fantasy stuff.
Remaking. And then the mobile game, Tomb Raider Reloaded. And then what else we're getting? The next Tomb Raider game, which is in pre-production, they've already stated that they're trying to unify the timelines. And what else? The anime series you mentioned, the Fortnite skin. It's so many things they're doing with Tomb Raider, but I think that's pretty much it right now.
What is that like for you? Because you're like the guy
Yes.
for it. And I
Yes.
said guy for a reason. I didn't say woman. I said guy.
Oh, okay. Thank you for giving me that, that title, that crown. Uh, no, I'm joking. And yeah, they're also doing the 25th anniversary celebration each month. They're celebrating each game up until December. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the latest game. For me, I think it's amazing. I mean, listen. I feel like I feel like in this time frame, this is a really special time to be a Tomb Raider fan because I feel like Square Enix is really trying their best to dedicate their time to Tomb Raider. Um, just them to announce that they're trying to work on unifying the timelines because there's been some discrepancies with the reboot, and a lot of classic Tomb Raider fans hate the reboot. But then you have the new generation, Gen Z and Gen A, they love the reboot because they never really played the classic games. It's been like this bickering, this fight, and everything between the fans. Um, and to be quite frank, I think Crystal Dynamics, I feel like they knew they messed up. And I think that's why they're trying to make up for it by trying to unify the timelines because they knew these last 10 years they haven't really did a good job at fan service with the Tomb Raider reboot. Not saying that the games were horrible. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is my favorite, but I don't know. The reboot's weird, man. It's like they
They're
have
not
the
that good. They're really not. I hate to say it.
yeah, they have the Tomb Raider name attached to it, but I feel like the Lara Croft herself is like a girl next door. Like they made her too relatable. She is known she's known as a power fantasy character. She's not known as a girl next door. And I want to speak on that since we're having a live interview, whoever's watching. I feel like there could have been one or two ways this origin story should have gone. The 2013 game was great, but however, I feel like more tombs should have been added to that game because it didn't really feel like a Tomb Raider experience. Tombs should have been added to the game. There should have been a lot of backtracking to find keys and things. Um, but however, that was the game where she became a savage and she got her dual pistols towards the end of the game to kill, Matthias, the guy on the island. So I was expecting the sequel, Rise of the Tomb Raider, for her to be becoming the Tomb Raider that we all know and love. Yeah, but they decided to go in this different direction where she started having like like daddy issues. Like she's becoming a Tomb Raider because of her dad. That's never really been what Lara Croft and the Tomb Raider franchise was always about. The original Lara Croft was about going on adventures because it was fun. It was fun for her to kill people. It was fun for her
And
to find these amazing artifacts. I mean, her father, her mother, they were a part of her background story, but they were never like the main center of why she goes on adventures. And I just don't really understand Crystal Dynamics. Like I respect them. I respect Crystal Dynamics because they retweeted my cosplay photo. I'm not gonna sit here and talk crap about them.
so,
You
so
know,
you're slightly biased and you're slightly bought. You're slightly sold out a little bit, right?
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I just feel like it was
You
just
can
more.
admit that you're a slight sellout. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because I enjoyed the reboot games for what they were.
As long as they're retweeting your work and liking your work, you're cool with it.
Yeah, yeah. Why not? I mean, they didn't do a horrible job with the reboot. I'm not. There, I feel like the reboot it was Tomb Raider, but I just think it was Lara Croft herself, and maybe the lack of tombs in the first two games. Because Shadow of the Tomb Raider was the best game. It was tombs everywhere you went. She was more badass. Her outfit was badass too. I love the very military complex looking outfit, the very two-tone outfit she had in Shadow Tomb Raider. To me, that's Tomb Raider.
So
When her
let
outfit.
me ask a question about Tomb Raider for you. Have you read the
Yeah,
comics?
I have not. I'm not a big comic person.
Oh, you're missing
But
the good stuff.
but
Top
but I but I've went to comic stores and I've found the Tomb Raider section and I've seen some of the comics and they do look pretty badass.
Okay,
Especially
okay. I'm going to sell it to you right now. So a
okay.
bunch of the covers on it. So Top Cow did a bunch of them. And so obviously Top Cow in the 90s is sort of one of the big companies formed by Mark Silvestri, who did a lot of work for Marvel and obviously formed Top Cow. People like Ebass and a bunch of other people have come out of Top Cow. And David Nakayama came out of Top Cow. So you have all these top artists that come out of Top Cow. Dan Jurgens, who basically created Doomsday, the Superman Doomsday that kills Superman,
Mm.
came out and wrote a bunch of Tomb Raider stuff. Matt Hawkins works on it, and Matt Hawkins is sort of a big deal in Top Cow. Right Hand Man does a lot of cool stuff with Top Cow. Think Tank is Matt Hawkins, Samaritan as well. Does the entire Postal universe. So now you have all this amazing people coming in, and then Adam Hughes, who's an amazing comic artist, did a bunch of the covers. So you have all these amazing covers where in the final cover, and I might buy it actually tonight, it's like a $30 comic. So you have Lara Croft holding a martini, sitting on a beach with like a gun in her hand, sipping it in a bikini. And you have this entire thing of what Lara Croft is. And that
Yeah,
is exactly who Lara Croft is.
that's
Which is gun
exactly
in
who
hand,
Potter is.
drinking her martini in a bikini,
With
ready
a
to kill
gun.
you, with the gun,
With a
ready to
gun.
kill you. And it's Adam Hughes' work, who is
Yeah.
amazing. And then to top it off, IDW, and I have this book, and it's one of my favorite books, and I'm not going to sell it. They did something called the Heroes Initiative. Adam Hughes did the cover for it. Who's on the cover? Lara Croft.
Oh wow.
2011.
That's amazing. That is incredible.
So
Yeah,
if
I mean,
you read the comics, you can pick it up for like 120 in the hardcover books. It's 3 things of all 50 issues. Won't be disappointed.
oh, okay. I didn't know it was that cheap. Sure. I'll check it out again at the
You can
comic
probably
store.
get it on Comixology. I'm willing to put money that you can get it on Comixology.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, totally. Also with Crystal Dynamics, they've been about this nun objectifying thing. Like, I respect that because I feel like she shouldn't be as objectified. But we're talking about OG Lara Croft here. Yeah, OG Lara Croft always had some guy or some girl out there objectifying her. Like the thing is about Crystal Dynamics, they're being a little too uptight. Like, it's okay. It's okay for people to objectify Lara Croft. That still doesn't take away the majority of her fan base that plays her games to where she's a badass character.
And
Those,
you have a bunch of guys playing a chick character and saying, "Dude, this is awesome, man. What'd you do this weekend?" "Oh man, I played Tomb Raider." "Me too. It's awesome."
right,
Nobody
right,
in their right mind says, "Oh man, I played Tomb Raider." "Me too, man. We can't talk
yeah,
about it." It's like
yeah.
Pokemon. It's totally cool to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah, everybody. And honestly, like I said, going back to what I was saying, I feel like it should have went a different direction with the reboot. Like I feel like she should have showed more skin. I got tired of her wearing pants. I mean, for Christ's sake, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, she was in a jungle where it's near the equator. It's like 100 degrees, and she's wearing pants. Like, make it make sense. You know, they were going with this whole idea about being realistic. I mean, that's not realistic because I'll be burning up in the jungle wearing pants. I just think that it's okay for her to be sexy because that's empowering, actually. And she's still, she's still murdering guys and chopping their heads off. I mean, how much more badass can that get? You know, it's not objectifying for her to wear shorts. And you know what? I don't think this is out enough with this because they didn't want to put her in shorts because that's objectifying, right? Like, okay, Lara Croft is known for shorts. Okay, here's the thing: shorts come in different lengths. She doesn't have to wear booty shorts. They could have put her in like mid thigh shorts or long shorts, and that wouldn't be as sexual, but still pertaining to what the original character looks like. And I just don't know why these people just did not come up with this idea instead of putting her in boring pants the whole time. Like, make it make sense, you know?
Yeah.
you know,
There's
so
a boatload of issues with it, and obviously, in the 25 years and the entire history, and what we're getting for the next three in reality, and then obviously we're gonna hit the 30th anniversary. There's some pitfalls in Lara Croft and Tomb Raider. Obviously, these games have some pitfalls, but even still, with all those pitfalls, the games have done really well. The
yeah, they
comics
have.
have done well.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
statues have done well. The posters
Yeah.
have done well. The movies have done
Mhm.
well.
Yeah.
And
I
obviously
mean,
getting the sequel. And so what is that like for you? Because as I stated, you're the guy who does Lara Croft and does the gender bend, and this is kind of your thing. And
yeah.
to
I
have
mean,
the ability to have, 25 years on Lara Croft, and
mhm.
obviously, this started when you were 2 years old, started when I was two as well, and have it last this long and still be relevant, and it's your cosplay. It's kind of what you're known for to
Yeah.
some degree is this cosplay. I don't think, that that's me saying anything false, and correct me if you're known for something else, because this is going to be really awkward if it's true. But if you're known for something else, this is the time to correct me. But even still, like having something that 25 years later, and that you started doing this, what, 7 years ago, eight
Yeah.
years
About
ago?
5 years ago, I think. Yeah.
I'm bad
Yeah.
at math. I was a
No,
English
it's okay.
studies guy.
It's okay.
I'm horrific at math. Clearly, that doesn't make
Mhm.
sense.
No,
2016.
it's okay.
Clearly, we now know why I'm an interviewer and not an engineer.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? For me, I mean, I love this. Like, like I said, this is the best time. This is a really good, a special time to be a Tomb Raider fan because the name is still alive. Her name is still alive. She's still around the world. She hasn't died yet as a franchise, and I'm so thankful that Crystal Dynamics has managed to keep her name alive. Even though the reboot was controversy, they all scored 9 out of 10s from IGN. So, like I said, they were not horrible. And everything else they did with Lara Croft before the reboot was actually pretty awesome. But I first want to speak on the movie. I am so happy that Tomb Raider got a sequel. I hope this time the new director Misha Green. I hope she does an amazing job. I've seen on social media that her script just got approved. So I'm excited to see what they do there. I just hope that this time Alicia Vikander's badass Lara Croft. We don't need any more daddy issues, please. Um, and I'm really excited for Lara Croft to be on Netflix. I never thought in a million years that Lara Croft would be on Netflix with the new anime series.
Yeah, as an anime
Yeah,
series,
yeah, yeah. That is
very
historical.
interesting move.
The cookbook. I mean, come on, cookbook. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, a
It's a little
cookbook.
weird for Lara Croft. It's not like the Overwatch cookbook. It's not like the Star Trek cookbook. It's not like the Star Knight cookbook or another video game cookbook. It's Lara Croft who doesn't really have a cookbook.
Right. Yeah. Because I think she's the only franchise, the only video. You know what? Yeah, I think the positive thing to that is I think she's the only video game adaptation that has a cookbook. Because we don't see that cookbook with God of War, Grand
See, with
Theft Auto.
Overwatch has a cookbook.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
awesome. It's like it's great.
Okay.
I'm going to Barnes and Noble in like 2 weeks. I'm gonna pick it up.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, and you know what? From a business standpoint, I see what Square Enix are trying to do. They're trying to expand the name. You know what? I know exactly what Square Enix is trying to do, Andrew. Right now, they're doing this whole Fortnite thing. They're doing this whole cookbook thing. They're doing this whole 25th anniversary thing because I think since we do have a new generation under our belt, they're trying to get the new generation familiar with this character because they are planning another sequel, another game. And if they can capitalize financially off of getting more people
I
involved in
would
the
even
game of
make
Tomb Raider, they can
so
make more money.
I would make the argument that it's not even the game; it's the movie, it's the animated series.
Oh,
I
okay,
would make
yeah.
the argument because let's be realistic here. To that, I don't know what that Tomb Raider did, but easily 100 mil, easy if
Yeah,
not more. Probably more
yeah,
like 200, 300 million, and on a budget of what, maybe 100 million on a rough day.
yeah.
So if you can go and pull in, if you spend and they do 3 movies, which I think they're probably going to wind up doing, and you have a $300 million budget and you're pulling in 1.2 billion, give or take, plus all the DVD sales, all the licensing, getting it into HBO Max, on Amazon Prime, all that stuff, on Hulu. Let's be realistic. We're looking at 1.5 to 1.6 billion
Of
dollars,
course.
300 mil, and then you get the video game market in there, then you get the cookbook market in there, and then all of a sudden this franchise now just adds a huge amount of money into
Of
its.
course, of course. And then that gives an opportunity for the franchise to last another 5, 10 years. And so I get the marketing strategy behind Square Enix. And no one on social media has talked about this. No Tomb Raider fan or nothing. I think I'm the first one that is actually verbalizing that I'm seeing what Square Enix is trying to do. Because right now, Tomb Raider has competition. It's Uncharted. And it's the new Indiana Jones game that is probably going to be exclusive to Xbox. That's going to be another competition for Tomb Raider. So
It's
they,
not. I would even make the argument. Look at what's going on. Exclusivity is the key. I'm a big comic book guy. I love Zenoscope. They have exclusive comics to where they're 250 print run. I make good money on a 250 print run where I will buy it for 25, I will sell it for 60. I'm making good money on it. Now I'm not getting rich, and Zenoscope knows exactly what I'm doing because I stated it on an interview with one of the owners.
Mhm.
I clearly have big something. Anyway, and they know exactly what their fans are doing, but they're very, very limited and very exclusive. And
Yeah,
so I think Tomb Raider's competition is Cyberpunk. I think Tomb Raider's competition is Activision and Blizzard. I think Tomb Raider's entire
right.
competition is Godzilla vs. Kong, which, by the
Yeah,
way, have you
yeah,
seen? It was
yeah.
awesome. It was awesome.
You know
It,
what? I have to see that movie. I think I'm gonna try to watch it sometime this week. I'm super excited for that
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, yeah. Just spend the $15 for HBO Max. You won't be disappointed. And the Justice League too, man. Super good.
Oh, the Justice League.
But
Yes. So
anyway, we're getting distracted here.
yeah, we
We're
are.
talking
We
about the
are.
Justice League too.
Yeah, but I think what they're doing with Tomb Raider with the 25th anniversary is amazing. Also, oh yeah, we didn't mention the Works statue they're building too for the 25th anniversary. That's incredible too. And I think they're Square Enix is actually taking the time to appreciate all Tomb Raider games within its 25th anniversary. So yeah, I'm enjoying this time. And the biggest news of all, that they stated they're working on the next Tomb Raider game and they're planning to unify the timelines. When I heard that, I was like, yes, yes. please.
So
Thank you.
somebody's going to be buying a few copies of that game. I could tell already.
Yeah, it like I have to say, as a Tomb Raider fan that grew up in the '90s, like it's time, it's time for Lara Croft to get back to who she is known for. You can't just keep going along with this reboot and thinking that it's okay that people and are enjoying it when half of the fan base is not. So I think that what they should do with the unifying, that it can either go one or two ways, like the original reboot did. They can either stick with the original with the reboot Lara Croft, but just make her classic Tomb Raider. Like, she's sassy, she's confident, she's not worried about her daddy anymore, and she's going on a reimagining of the first or second or third Tomb Raider game. That's how they can unify the timelines. Or they can just go back to classic Tomb Raider, but then that wouldn't be unifying the timelines. That'd just be more classic. Andrew, I feel like what they're gonna do, they're gonna stick with the reboot because it wouldn't make sense to reboot the franchise for a fourth time. They need to stick with a Lara Croft and let it be. So I think they're gonna stick with the Lara Croft they have and just change her personality. And I hope they make her more sexy. It's time for her to put it. It's time to put her in shorts and tank tops. I'm sorry.
It's also time, and obviously I am libertarian. I am center right per se, so I have some right tendencies, and I am not a fan of political correctness. I
Yeah.
think they need to ease up on that tremendous.
Yeah.
Because I hate to say this, but I don't think women care too much about a girl in a bikini or looking sexy as a turnoff in a game. I think guys want it, and I think that most people in America don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
A very small minority who has a voice that seems like the majority, which isn't, has the problem with it.
Yeah.
That needs to sort of end, and they need to not going all the way back 90%, but 50% roll back. And look, put her in a bikini for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I know. Right? I mean, at this point, the reboot Lara Croft is a grown woman. She's like 23, 24 now, according to that timeline. So, let's get over the daddy issues. Let's get over her feeling insecure. Like, she's a grown woman now, and you know what? I feel like that's what they're gonna do. I feel it in my heart. They're gonna use the reboot Lara Croft, make her classic, and take her on like this reimagining of a classic adventure, or they might actually make a whole new adventure but make it feel like a classic Tomb Raider game.
Or they could take the third option, option C. Throw her 15 years ahead, right?
Yeah.
Then keep it in the same reboot position, but then have flashbacks to some of the older stuff where you get that, and that's how you unify the timelines. But what you essentially are doing is that you're getting it from you've gone 15 years, and then you have 15 years of filler in there and flashback stuff that then unifies it nicely, and you breathe the two in.
But still, still, the game is focused on a new adventure.
Yeah, but what you're doing is that the stuff that happened in the past is still relevant, and in the other games, and you pull it together and you sort of blend it all together to some degree in some capacity, because that's how I would unify it. Because this way,
I'm down with that too. And guess what? The director, his name is Will. I think he was a part of the video. He has a social media. So you know what that means? He's a target. So because you know what? I find it strange that a lot of these bosses at Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix don't have social medias. I mean, they know what they're doing. It's because they're trying to keep their privacy. Because they know if fans hate a game, they already know they're going to be like blowing up their social media. Oh, you suck! You suck! I hate you.
I had somebody. I don't know if you know the story about Mortal Kombat. He was on my show in the first season, and he worked on Mortal Kombat. And there was a glitch in Mortal Kombat. Within the first 6 hours, there was many people on Twitter threatening Mortal Kombat, saying, how could you do this? And they're like threatening murder to like the people on Mortal Kombat. Meanwhile, there was like a glitch when the game first came out. And
It's real.
and then what he was saying, and I thought it was funny. He didn't think it was funny when he was telling me the story. And he told me the story live on the air, which is great. It's still up there for those who want to check it out. I'm not telling you who it is because I want you to go through every single episode to find it. But I need the plays, guys. I need the plays. But what he was saying is that that wouldn't happen on a Dora the Explorer game. And but his entire point was saying that, look, you know, when people have social media, people let you know if a game sucks.
Of course. I mean, I will too. I will too.
So if they throw out a teaser and this thing looks like shit, it's going to be well known and they might pivot course real quick. So
I mean, I agree. I agree, Andrew, because you know you're messing with people's passion. You're messing with people's happiness. To be quite frank, you know, we grow close to these characters that we love, and so when you destroy that and just destroy the franchise because of your selfish ideas, of course I will be pissed. Yes. Like I said, he has a social media. His name is Will something. He's the director of the new game. So I already know where to find him. But with me having a platform and me being known, I'm not gonna be that person to be nasty.
Well,
Because I don't want to be known for that, you know?
it's okay. You could join my social media club that I'm creating, and it hasn't happened yet, and I haven't announced it, but I might as well announce it now. It's do you know who Ken Panders is?
No.
Ken Panders wrote a bunch of Sonic the Hedgehog stuff, and Archie, which at the time was publishing the Sonic the Hedgehog, didn't copyright or trademark or claim any of the characters' rights. And one day Ken was pissed because he wasn't getting paid enough for all the characters. He said, I'm taking all these characters with me. And then he copyrighted all of them throughout the years he was working on, went to court. Basically, Archie said, fine, you win, you get all these characters. And then they just wrote Sonic the Hedgehog away from all of those characters. So Ken Panders owns all these characters and copyrighted them and has access to all these Sonic the Hedgehog characters. And so I had a wrestler on who got blocked by Ken Panders because he was tweeting at him, and he had more followers than Ken Panders had. And so I'm thinking about creating the I Got Blocked by Ken Panders Club.
Oh my God.
And it's a membership, and in order to qualify, you have to pay me $25. You get a t-shirt, a membership card, and then you have to qualify that you were blocked by Ken Panders.
Wow. That is
so if you would like to go in and create your club to get blocked by this director, this is your business venture right here.
Yes. Hey, let's do it. Let's do it. I also want to say a few more things about that too, about them unifying the timelines. What I was going to say, I think Square Enix needs to have they need to have more control over Crystal Dynamics, because it's a known fact that Crystal Dynamics took over Tomb Raider after core design failed, and Eidos at the time gave permission for Crystal Dynamics to have control over the franchise. That's a bad mistake, because the reboot did great, but it didn't deliver fan service and what we wanted. And I just wish that what they're working on now, I just wish for Square Enix to have more say so in a Tomb Raider franchise, and because they're the bosses, you know, so they need to have more control over Tomb Raider so the game can stop being mediocre. We're talking about an iconic character here that broke barriers. So they need to kind of get it together with this next Tomb Raider game, because if they go down the same path as the reboot, the franchise is gonna become dead. And I don't want that as a Tomb Raider fan.
And also, it's not that you're at your 15-year or your 20, you're at your 25th. You gotta get your 25th year right. You gotta get your 30-year right. You know, 10 years is important, but 15 is more important. You know, 20 is a big deal. 25 and 30 and then 50. If you're around for 50 years, and you got to do something special. It's like you got to give the game, you got to pay people to play the game almost at your 50th anniversary. But yeah, I think that, there's a lot of pressure on them to do it right.
Well, they better learn. Hopefully this pressure will teach them a lesson. Square Enix should be like, um, they should be like, okay, Crystal's coming to them with this idea. Oh, we're gonna keep the same Lara Croft. She's not gonna get her dual pistols. Square Enix should be like, hell no, change this now, or you're gonna be fired. Give her dual pistols, and we're gonna make her a class Lara Croft. They should be those kind of bosses where they need to start like dictating more and telling. They need to tell Crystal Dynamics to sit down. Okay, you guys are not the bosses here. You know, and I hope that's what's going on right now. I mean, but I'm optimistic because they've stated they're going to unify the timeline. So I'm like, oh my god, they're actually trying now. Like, okay, that's good news. I'm really happy. I'm happy for Crystal Dynamics, and I just hope, like, I feel in my heart that the next game is going to be incredible. I know it. I know it because they're trying to unify the timelines. I mean, what company does that? So I know in my heart,
It's going to be fun.
Huh?
It's going to be fun. Hopefully, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And obviously, we can talk about Tomb Raider for the next hour easily, but I do want to talk about at least one more franchise, possibly two.
Let's bring the franchises. We can talk as long as we want.
And it's a big one, and it's Resident Evil. And so obviously you've done Alice, and we spoke about that one. But the one that I want to speak about is this one right here. Yeah. And it might be what you're next known for. Obviously, we talk about Resident Evil 3. I enjoy Resident Evil 4 more than 3. 3, you're running away from Nemesis, but 3 was fun. And the remake of 3 was awesome. The remake of 2 was good too. I mean, both of those remakes were fantastic. And that's not to say Resident Evil 3, the original, wasn't great, because the third one just by itself was fantastic also. But that remake took it to a whole new level. And obviously this is a gender bend of Jill Valentine, very similar to the idea of your Lara Croft, where you bended the character to you versus taking it and trying to fit into the other gender. And I know how that sounds, and it's not meant to sound the way it's meant to sound, but it's the best way how to state it. I'm trying to be reasonable because I know that people are going to come after me. I know I'm inviting the problem in.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. I love Resident Evil. I love that. That's honestly my top 3 favorite games is Tomb Raider, Resident Evil, and I'll say Grand Theft Auto, or the Batman series. Yeah, the Batman Arkham series. Yeah.
So what was the inspiration? Because we spoke about the Alice, and obviously that's Afterlife, and that's the movie stuff. This is the video game stuff, and this is sort of a far cry away from Alice, and that because Alice was not in the games by any imagination. But Jill is, and Jill's a significant character collectively. And what you really need to find is you need to find somebody who gender bends Chris as a girl.
Oh,
because you're a Resident Evil fan, right? You know the deal with Chris and Jill, and how basically Chris rescues her, and then they wind up getting married, and they're partners in real life, and all sorts of fun stuff. And that'd be an amazing photo set.
Yeah, totally. Jill. Okay, so you want me to talk about that shoot that day?
I want to talk about the inception of this idea because, again, this is one of those ideas that really I haven't seen it before. And I look for stuff and I see a lot of females cosplaying Jill. I see a lot of versions of Jill, but you don't see a guy doing Jill.
I guess you don't. This concept
it sounds so weird because it's so basic. And it's one of those things where you're like, oh, this makes complete sense. This should work. This should be, like at the top of the list. And yet it's not. It's kind of like the simplest ideas are always the ones that are passed over. And Jill's such an iconic character. When you think of Resident Evil, you think Chris Redfield, Albert Wesker, Jill Barry, and Rebecca Chambers. You don't think of those 5 characters. All come to mind at the same time. So iconic character, man. Like it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it really is. You know what? I think that well, what motivated me to be Jill was my love for Resident Evil. I'm sorry. It's just that I have that same relationship with Jill in the sense of like that badassness, that survivor and that survival instinct. Like, yes, I'm gonna get to this. I'm gonna survive no matter what. And I just relate to that because I just feel like throughout my life, I haven't been able to survive. Well, obviously I've survived because I'm standing here now, but I haven't been able to. It's
You
been a
had to
struggle
escape a
again.
mansion that was very difficult. Yeah, you had to
Huh?
fight things that you had to escape a mansion. You had to take out a large figure.
Yeah,
Some of your team members didn't make it, right? Like,
yeah, yeah. I
I'm
mean, that's
sorry, it's
hard.
too easy. It's too easy.
That's hard to even like being in that kind of circumstance. But like I said, I've been in hard circumstances, just being a black, LGBT man through all my, unfortunate experiences that I've had through school, being, basically mutilated and embarrassed in front of everybody almost every single day. I've always looked up to these kind of characters to make me feel, confident and strong. And I think these women play a big role in my life because I've been raised by women. Yeah, so it says a lot. And I think it depowers male supremacy of how badass these women are. And I think it just really inspires me as a human being, not a male or a girl, to be who I am and don't apologize, And so,
Getting to a
you
point
know,
where off of these characters, there's actually substance there. And what I mean by this is that there's a real story to Jill. Jill has a military background. She's a police
mhm,
officer, part of an
yeah,
elite team. She's respected by her team. Albert Wesker chose her to be on, Stars, Bravo. I think it's Bravo
yeah,
team. Alpha gets killed except for Rebecca Chambers, right?
yeah, yeah,
Barry respects Jill. Chris respects Jill.
hmm
Obviously, Chris is wanting to go, and even Resident Evil 5, I don't think Jill was depowered in any stretch of the imagination, looking for Jill and that entire thing. And Chris
yeah,
saved Jill. Like, that wasn't a depowerment. But versus
right,
other characters in video games, there are some female characters that are clearly have no substance to them.
right,
Lara Croft has substance. So obviously, when we look at Jill, and I played Jill in the Resident Evil, the first game first, and then I played Chris second because Chris's story was a bit harder, and Jill's
oh
story
yeah,
was
oh my gosh, I
easier.
hated his storyline. His story was so hard. I like me, I easily played Jill because Chris' storyline was so freaking hard in Resident Evil 1. Yeah.
Chris's story is harder,
Hmm.
um, even going but obviously there's a lot of cool stuff, and then obviously just the entire other history that's not in the games. There's a whole history, and if you read the books, it's super interesting of like all this other stuff
Yeah.
out there. So super deep character, and
Yeah.
then you're doing this version of her, and it's awesome, or of him per se. Technically, this character is him.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. You know what? We actually shot that shoot this past weekend. Yeah, it's a freshly new photo shoot. And yeah,
Why did you shoot it? What happened like a year ago today? Can you give or
oh,
take?
you say like why I didn't do it last year?
Why did you shoot this weekend? Because what happened a year ago around this time with Resident Evil?
Oh, yeah. Because the anniversary of
Yeah.
the because the Resident Evil 3 remake came out. And what's so crazy was I was actually not doing the shoot closer to their anniversary. I actually was not really I actually forgot about the anniversary. It just so happened to be at the right time, the right place for the anniversary. And then the next thing, and the crazy thing is, when we got done with the photo shoot, I was like, "Oh my god, the anniversary is like literally in like 2 days," and I was freaking out. I was like, "Wow, we did this shoot at the right time." And it was, I mean, it was a great shoot. Oh, I have to tell you a funny situation. So I'm walking, I have guns, well, fake guns in my Jill Valentine cosplay, right?
You,
Okay,
you
so
you have a prop. It's called a prop. You should
a
know that.
prop, a prop. So okay, so we're
What? Be
walking down
professional.
the. You said what?
Be professional here.
Oh, okay, a prop. My God, my props. And you know, I saw this family that they're coming out this restaurant because we're like downtown where there's so many humans, and it had kids with them too. They literally stopped and stared at me like, and then I turned down and so I turned around and looked at them like, hello, and it was so awkward because I'm just like, oh my gosh, I hope people don't call the police on me. I hope they see my photographer behind me, which is my boyfriend, and I hope they see that we're just taking pictures. That was running through my head. So I was like, well, let me just smile at them and wave at them. Like literally, it always happens when we're out in public doing shoots. People think that I'm gonna go murder someone. It's just so funny. Like it
See,
really, I crack up.
I would have wanted you and the police to be there because I guarantee you somebody on the police force who would come be like, oh my God, this is amazing. And they'd be taking photos of you. Like every once in a while, there's a YouTube video that comes up. And like I'll give a great example. It's a great story. This guy dresses as Batman. He has a Batmobile and he visits kids who have cancer and terminal diseases and other heart diseases in the hospital
Yeah.
dressed as Batman. Shows up in the Batmobile and they all look at him arriving in the Batmobile and the police pulled him over. And so on the radio call, they're like, "Hey, we just want to run this by." And then he like handed them, he was explaining it, and then like the cops said, "Yo, can I get a picture? Because this is what my day at work looks like." And then like the picture went out on Twitter. He's like, "My day at work, a police officer next to Batman." And every
Oh my.
once in a while, this happens where a cop sees like somebody doing something and it's charitable, and they pull them over because let's be realistic here. Somebody could be batshit crazy technically and be
Yeah.
mentally ill if they're dressed up as Batman outside. And
I think yeah.
you might want to check for a few minutes to say, is this person okay? And then once the person was speaking, oh yeah, here's my business card. I'm a lawyer. I do all this, but I go to the hospitals to make kids feel better. But my point is that the police came. Somebody who's a Resident Evil fan would have gotten on the police. I guarantee
Yeah.
it's been an amazing experience because they probably would have given you their card and you would never have to pay another traffic ticket ever in your life ever
Oh,
again.
sure. Hey, that would be helpful because my insurance just went up because I got a freaking ticket last year.
See, you played it the wrong way. Or what I would have done is I just would have spoke, hey, you guys want to take photos? And you have really cool pictures with like kids taking photos with you and parents, and you have like amazing stuff. Oh man, you played that thing the complete wrong way, completely.
Yeah, it's funny. And you know what? So it was actually freezing that night. It was like 4 nights ago. Because we're still in spring. So the
It's
night,
super new. That's why this is awesome.
yeah, the daytime is hot, the night times are cold. So, we're downtown. I'm like freezing. My boyfriend's freezing, but I'm telling him, oh my gosh, we have to get this shoot done. We have to get it right. And this is me like freezing. Yes. Now we were in a warmer area here. We were in a parking deck and it was warmer. I was like, yes, it was warmer, but I will be posting some scenery shots and outside, and man, it was freezing. And you know what? And I think that's what it takes to be a successful cosplayer. No matter what temperature you're in, you have to bring it. You have to do it. You cannot mess up. No matter if it's too cold, if it's too hot, you got to be the best. And that's kind of my mindset when I'm in shoots. I have to be my best, no matter the circumstance I'm in.
And I just think it's a great cosplay, and obviously this is a first photo that dropped, and obviously there's a bunch more that's coming out.
Yeah.
But obviously it just sort of came about. This is brand new. I'm pretty sure I'm
Mhm.
the first person you were speaking about with this cosplay
Yeah.
with. So it's super
Probably. Yeah.
cool.
Mostly,
Obviously,
yeah.
I love Resident Evil. I love Resident Evil. I
I
think
love. Yeah. Me too.
it's amazing. I love the entire concept of it. I think it's
Oh, me
wonderful.
too. Me too. The whole concept about it, man. I think that's why I also love Resident Evil because this shit can be real, man. Like just the concept behind it is it's so real. Like whoever the
Let's be realistic here. COVID, and I'm not trying to drop a conspiracy theory, but COVID is not that far of a distance from the T
Rob?
virus.
Right, exactly. And you know what's so crazy? When Resident Evil 3 remake came out last year, there was a scene during the opening where the city's going crazy and they're like, oh, this the pandemic or something they mentioned. And I was like, oh my God, that is literally what we're going through right now. How did they release this game at the perfect time, at the perfect place? It's kind of, it's kind of scary. And whoever wrote the Resident Evil concept, they are a genius. Thank you so much, whoever you are. I don't know who you are, but I just feel like it's relatable because it can be real, you know?
Scariest scene. There's three terrifying scenes in Resident Evil throughout the first 7 games. So the first terrifying scene is that closet scene in the first game,
Oh my God, yes.
where you're reading that, and that scene is still scary 20 plus years later.
Yes, it is. I mean, yeah, I actually have actually have three. I actually have the first three original Resident Evil games that I played on my PS1. I just beat them this past holiday, and yes, I cannot get over that closet scene. I freaked out. Yeah.
That scene is a very scary scene. The draining scene is also similar when you drain the tub and then a zombie's in there.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh my God, I
Down in these sort of, I guess, corridors with like all the spiders and stuff. So
yeah,
that's a scary scene that's equal to the closet scene. So those are tied at like the top scary scenes.
yeah.
Top
Yes, I
three.
agree. I
The,
agree.
the second is that opening scene in Resident Evil 3 where you have all those people in the police shooting and sort of the Umbrella Corps dropping in and trying to figure out how to get overrun by zombies. That's pretty scary.
Oh yeah, that's really scary, man. That's basically the end of the world.
And then,
Uh,
and then the final scary scene is Resident Evil 7, and it's grandma's on a rocker,
yes.
and then stuff's going on, and then grandma's not on her rocker anymore, and grandma's
Right,
nowhere to be found.
right.
That's terrifying.
You're terrifying. And the mom, Margaret, she was terrifying too. Oh my God, when she morphs into her like I guess insect state, man, that was terrifying too.
And so the grandma thing is terrifying because you're expecting grandma to be turned around, and she's all just quiet old lady in a nice little house.
Right?
And it's scary, and I didn't beat Resident Evil 7. I got up to that stage, and then I was like, okay, I'm
Oh
good.
my God. Wow. Yeah. You know what's so funny? I did not expect grandma to be E series at all. Like I did not expect it to be what's the little girl's name again? Um
Man, it's been a while. It's been a while
yeah,
since I
but
played 7.
but but scientifically her name is E series. E series. It's oh yes, Evelyn. Evelyn. Yeah. Yeah, Evelyn, that's her name. I was not expecting grandma to be Evelyn because due to her genetics, makeup with the virus, she aged pretty fast. And the whole time this bitch was watching me throughout the whole mansion. I didn't even know it was Evelyn. I could have killed her right there.
It was very scary, that scene, because you got grandma, it's just rocking, and then you go 3, 4, 5 doors down, and she's gone, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
when is grandma coming back? Terrifying.
Right.
That's like the scariest moment in Resident Evil in the
I
entire franchise.
Yeah, I have to say running through the city in Resident Evil 3 is scary. When you got Nemesis chasing after you. Oh my God, man. You don't know how much my heart was pumping. I mean, that game is like about almost 25 years old and it still scares me. It is crazy.
Resident Evil 3 is a very, very adrenaline driving game.
Yeah, it is.
Very, very adrenaline driving. The first time I played it, very adrenaline driving. Almost as adrenaline driving as the greatest comeback in Overwatch that I played. That's a
Yeah.
whole different story. So my team was we tied 3-3, and we
Hmm.
had to push the payload. And I forgot what scene. We had to capture the payload and then move it. And we have a minute left in this game. It's a crazy circumstance. And what wound up happening is that we all get to the payload, and then we push the payload all the way through 3 checkpoints, not leaving the payload, marched it down with no time on the clock. It's the craziest circumstance. And then we were on offense first, and then we played defense, and they had 3.5 minutes, and we held them completely, not touching the payload. Amazing. That's the most adrenaline thing. And after I put the game, like my hands were like so like shaking. But when I put it in 3, the remake, that game, man, every 5 seconds.
Yeah, the remake. Oh, it still had that
same circumstance.
Yeah, and you know, and you know what, man, Carlos, he is so hot. He is super hot. Like I have a big crush on Carlos, man. I mean, the internet does. He's a really hot Latino dude. Like, my boyfriend is Latino too. So I'm with it. I really am. Like, yeah.
See, I like Jill looking the way she looks in that game.
Huh?
I love Jill's outfit.
Yeah,
Looks like a street hooker. It's so bad. It's so bad, yet it's so Resident Evil. It's so Left 4 Dead type vibe. It's so perfect in so many ways, and it's so Japanese. It is so Japanese.
It really is.
And it's brilliant. And that game gets flack for it. And most people don't understand the whole point of that. It's like straight out of like Sailor Moon, Japanese anime otaku land, and it should never change. And I'm glad they didn't change it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Yeah, how you feel about Resident Evil 8? The new game.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, man, where are we even going with that game? Because that game looks fun, but it looks so fucking weird with like Lady Demesu or whatever her name is, and like she's like a vampire.
Yeah. Now I pronounce it Lady Dimitrescu, which makes no sense. I don't know.
I don't get it. I think it's gonna be a fun game. It's gonna be a great game to play. I don't know exactly when it's coming out, and I'm right now just taking a hiatus from video games because I got way too much stuff going on. But when I go back into video games, I'm going to pick it up because it's going to be a fun game to play.
Yeah.
Leon's in it. I think Chris is in it. And a few others are in it. But what is she, like a vampire, like a 7.5-foot tall, plaga-infested vampire?
So the game. So great news. So great news. The game comes out May 7th, which is like literally it's about a month because today's the 6th.
We're 30 days out, give or take.
Yeah. So I'm going to be honest. I really wasn't sold at first when they first sold the promotions because I just feel like they're kind of straying away from Resident Evil like source material, but that's what they did with Resident Evil 7. But they were only promoting it like it wasn't a Resident Evil game. But when you actually play it, it's like, oh shit, this whole thing is like so Resident Evil. It just doesn't have zombies in it. I guess the molded monsters were considered zombies. So I'm assuming that's how RE8 is going to be. I think the way that they're promoting it, it doesn't really seem like a
I feel so. I feel like they're promoting it through cosplay because that main villain has been one of the most cosplayed entities. And my question for Capcom and Ubisoft is: did they pay a bunch of cosplayers to do it? Would not surprise me. I'm not trying to be conspiratorial here, but this does not seem normal a game trailer. And I know a bunch of people that I've interviewed in the cosplay world have cosplayed this character, and I'm like, you're getting paid, right? Like, because it just seems. And I'm not trying to be conspiratorial here, but something's off.
Yeah, I see what you mean because I feel like why didn't people cosplay Nemesis? Or why didn't people cosplay, Margaret Baker from Resident Evil 7? How come all of a sudden now this tall lady is like the big topic of the day? I did find it a little bit strange, but I also really like that. I also have my opinions on the big tall lady too, is what people call her. So she's 9'6", I think. Yeah. Yeah, she's 9'6", so she's a very, very tall human. I get she might not even be human, but I feel like when we actually play the game, it's gonna be a real RE vibe game. Like I said, I think the way they're promoting it, it's like they did with RE7. It doesn't really seem like a Resident Evil game, but when you play it, you're gonna be like, okay, yeah, this is Resident Evil for sure. What I'm hoping is I hope Big Tall Lady, I hope her mutated stage, her final boss stage is like really terrifying. I'm hoping that she doesn't stay the big tall lady for the whole game because then I'll be very disappointed. I hope that Ethan injures her to a certain degree that makes her morph into like this really scary like monster. And you know she's already 9 foot, so imagine her morphing to like a bigger monster.
It's interesting, her entire character, where she's very elegant. She's got the white dress on, very
Yes,
1950s, 1960s.
yes, and the way she talks is so like elegant, and proper, and it's like
Very,
okay,
very European, if you will.
yeah.
Very much like Resident Evil 4's Salazar. And
Mm-hmm.
and shoot, who's the Salazar? What was the kid, right?
Salazar was the little kid, little guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then who's the other final boss?
He was the priest. I forgot his name.
Yeah, I forget
But
his name too, but Salazar speaks very elegant, like a castle, whatever that thing is called. That's how she seems,
right.
and it is weird. Like it's a fascinating character, and it's a fascinating villain, and I just don't know where we're going with all this because at this point, I feel like Resident Evil has run its course to some degree.
Yeah.
After they sort of Blue Umbrella occurred, it's run its course at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. I see what you mean. I agree. And I think that at this point they're just coming up with new ideas to keep the franchise alive, which I'm totally for because we're talking about another game, Resident Evil, they came out
Yeah,
at the same time as Tomb Raider. I feel like Tomb Raider and Resident Evil are like brothers and sisters. They literally have been around the same amount of time. This year also marks the 25th anniversary of Resident Evil. I feel like they're brothers and sisters. Literally, they came out at the same time on the same console. They were both very popular, and I just think that yeah, I'm thankful that Capcom is keeping their name alive because I love this franchise. Um, like I said, I wasn't completely sold on RE8 because first of all, what are vampires and werewolves doing in Resident Evil? Like it
it's
doesn't,
so weird.
yeah, it doesn't make sense. But we're talking about a company who mis who mispromoted Resident Evil 7 purposely because when you played it, you're like, oh shit, this is like Resident Evil. So we're talking about a company. I think they're trying to like trick their fan base or whatever in a weird way. Because I feel like when you play RE8, it's going to be totally Resident Evil. And I've done my research. So supposedly RE8, it has to do with like the historical beginning of Umbrella. Because the Umbrella symbol is a part of some of the puzzles in the game, but it has to do with the original like beginning of Umbrella. And Lady Dimitrescu, they're saying the flower that she has on her shirt, the little flower pendant, is the what's the plant they found in Africa, which
Oh
was
yeah, with the James Marcus and all that stuff, and
yeah, it's the purgatory. It starts with the P, but that was the original plant that started the whole T virus and all that stuff. So supposedly she she's merged with the plant. Like she's been around for like hundreds and thousands of years since the plant was created. So to me, I feel like it is going to be Resident Evil. They're going to bring some historical things in there, why it started in the first place.
it's gonna
I think
be
that's gonna happen.
so interesting what they do with it. It's gonna be so
Yeah,
interesting where they go with it. It's gonna be so fascinating what they do with it because it could very well be a new launch for Resident Evil.
yeah, I agree. Because this can either go one or two ways. It can be really, really, really incredible, We're gonna be really, really, really bad. Really off a horrible game. I'm
It's
just
going
like,
to be like Space Jam 2. Space Jam 2 technically is going to be amazing. And
yeah.
it's going
Oh
to
yeah.
knock it out of the park, or it's going to bomb, and it's going to go down like a plane
Yeah.
goes into the Hudson River. It's going to be bad.
Oh, oh, oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've seen that trailer. I was more like, I don't know. I have to watch it. When I saw the Space Jam trailer.
So yeah,
Hmm.
so it's going to be super interesting, and I'm going to be very, very stoked to see which way it goes, because it's going to be super interesting, and obviously, yeah, I think that's where we're going to stop with talking about cosplays, and I do want to talk about cons, conventions, and all that fun stuff, because we've been talking for almost 2 hours now, and so
Yeah.
obviously, I do want to talk about that stuff, because obviously vaccinations are rolling out now.
Yeah.
Just because vaccination is rolling out, I'm having a hard time getting my vaccination and getting scheduled for it and getting my shot. I just got an appointment legitly today. And
Oh
so
wow.
thank God. I mean, it took a long time. It's beyond frustrating. And then even with all that, we don't know the full extent of where COVID's going to be going. We don't know the damage. There's still a boatload of damage to this country.
Yeah.
Economically, businesses are shut down.
It
People are
really
struggling
did.
with money. Cons need to figure out how to run and figure out a bunch of stuff. Obviously San Diego is not happening this year.
No.
It didn't happen
Yeah.
till last
Yeah.
year.
It's not.
And
It's not.
so where did you see all this stuff going?
You know what? The great thing about San Diego Comic Con is I actually got accepted to go to the con. Because, it's really hard to get into San Diego Comic Con. So when I applied, I was actually this was my first year applying to set up an account and all that stuff. And I got selected to go to San Diego Comic Con back in 2019. So when the pandemic came, I was disappointed because they postponed it to 2021. So, and then they postponed it to 2022 now, but my ticket is still there. So, thank God. But honestly, where I feel like this is going, I feel like this is not going to go anywhere because I feel like we have too many people that are not taking it serious, and it's going to keep going in cycles, going in cycles. Again, I can't speak for other countries. I don't know what they're doing.
So
But
to go off of that, because I think there's a bunch of stuff going on. I think that people are starting to take it more seriously, and obviously there's always going to be people who don't want the vaccination. And I had somebody on my show who he's taking the vaccination, his wife's taking the vaccination, but their daughter can't take the vaccination. So their daughter is like allergic to the vaccination, and
oh
so
god,
so you could imagine what they're feeling, what they're thinking, and all sorts of stuff. And he's doing comic stuff and pushing out his comic series. And so it becomes a very, very complicated issue when you have people in America who legitimately cannot take the vaccination. You have people who are terrified of the vaccination, and you have a phobia of being terrified. So you're not trying to be not taking the issue seriously, but you're terrified of the vaccination. And then you'd rather have death than the vaccination, which is
yeah.
it's a real thing. And you have people who say this is all fake. But I do think the majority of people in America, and not the majority, but I would imagine a good chunk, probably over the majority, are getting vaccinated. But look, I've been on the phone this week, and today is Tuesday, and it opened from Friday to now. I've been on the phone for like 9 hours trying to get my vaccination
Oh
appointment.
my god.
And they called me. And so it's the craziest thing. I didn't call them, which is crazy in my town. And I'm getting it like in like almost like a building in a high school. It's
Yeah.
super weird. And I don't even know if it's real or if it's a prank phone call. I guess I'm going to find out on Saturday to some degree. So I would imagine it's real. It seems legit, but random phone call from Connecticut and from like the town of Bethel where I live.
Oh
So
my god.
obviously,
Yeah, you got to be careful with that.
exactly. So obviously, if it looks a certain way and it seems a certain way, I'm gonna walk the other way. But my
Yeah,
point is that
drive off
even with
back home.
even with the vaccination and everything that's coming out, obviously it's gonna take a long time for people to get
Mhm.
vaccinated. It's very, very complicated. And so where do you feel like all this is going, and even just safety with cons and all that stuff? Because things
You
have
know,
to change.
yeah, things have to change. I don't know, man. I'm really scared for cons. I'm really nervous. I feel like this is not going in the right direction for them. For people who own the who owns the conventions. I feel like eventually what's going to happen is if this thing doesn't get better, is we might not have any more conventions anymore. And I'm going to be really sad because that's going to be my opportunity to meet people, to meet other
And,
talented
and yeah,
people.
and even to go further, because I'm curious, because we spoke about this the last time, but obviously, versus me, I do panels at conventions, and
Right,
so I can lecture. And look, I want to pack a room because it's very important for me. And which I don't want to speak to 10 people. I want to speak to 200, 300 people. And
right.
so now I understand that, let's say that gets cut down to 150. I can tolerate that, but I expect an additional panel. Or conversely, if I have a popular panel, maybe you have to have panel A, and the next day you do the same panel, you have panel B if it's a super popular panel. And so I think that might be a solution. But also with cosplay, you're walking around a con. I want a picture of you on my phone, or I want a picture of me with you, and I'm taking a selfie. And so all that becomes complicated because cosplay is touchy. It's a
Yeah,
very
right.
interpersonal thing. Me lecturing to somebody
Yeah,
isn't personal unless somebody meets me outside and we have a conversation, or we're talking in the hallway of the con and it's not a big deal and we're just having a nice conversation after. But it doesn't have to be personal. Legitimately, I can set up an entire question portal for everybody to submit their questions on Google Docs to me. So I'm sure you're handing something to your boyfriend in that right there.
no, he has made me a drink. That's what it is. Yeah.
I tell him I'm sorry for occupying you.
Oh no, he's fine. Yeah, he's perfectly fine.
I'm some supportive boyfriend.
Oh, he said that he's a supportive boyfriend. That's what he said. Did you hear him?
I used to be a supportive boyfriend as well until I broke up with my ex, but that's a different discussion completely. So I completely understand
Yeah.
that circumstance. Anyhow, getting back to cons here,
Yeah.
one of the things is that, like, where do you even see it changing? Because cosplay is very touchy. It's a very
Yeah. Very
interpersonal
touchy.
thing,
I think
and
I think
masks take things away as well.
it does. You know what? I have to say though, that might be the consequence. If these conventions want to survive, they should open back up, but only have a limited amount of people that can get tickets. So that means that everybody will be in the rate be on a race to get tickets online, which is great for their business because that's how they can make bank. When you make your consumers feel like an impulse to go buy tickets, and you only have a certain amount of people they can allow in, that would be great for their business. And consequently, they will have to wear a mask. I'm sorry, but we can see everything else of your cosplay. We don't have to necessarily see this part, So I feel like the only way for them to survive is open up, have a certain amount of people, make rules. You have to wear a mask. You cannot be touchy feely with people. Stay within your group, and I think it should be fine. That would be the only way that they would survive. But I guess they haven't really decided on that yet on a lot of conventions. So
From what I know, and this is what's happening, is that places like New York and California are going to be the last two to open up. And places like New York Comic Con and San Diego are going to be the last of the last because those are the two biggest cons in the U.S. And
yes,
when you're running 100,000 person con, the rules are different than when you're running 1,000 person con.
right,
Just because the consequences for 100,000 people is greater. If it's a 10% people getting COVID consequence and you have 1,000 people, it's a lot less people than 100,000.
yeah,
Just laws of number. The percentage doesn't change, but I also would imagine that if you have 1,000 people, that percentage is probably significantly lower because less people are interacting with each other and there's less spreading. And so what's actually happening is I speak to a lot of people in the comic world. And what's going on with what they're saying is that they're going to cons, they're wearing masks, but a lot of these smaller cons that might attract 2,000 people are operating very effectively. But
Yeah,
then, and I think that's what's going to rise up is smaller cons. And
yeah, I think which would help their business.
I think these bigger cons don't even know how to do a smaller con. And I think all these other people who say, "Hey, I know how to run a small con that attracts 3,000 people," they might do 2 or 3 or 4 of them now, which is going to help their business. But a place like
Or
Pop is not going to be able to do it well.
or what they can do, because a con is usually 4 or 5 days. If they want to give all people an opportunity to come, then they should have only single ticket days for a certain amount of group of people. Like, say one day they only 1,000 people allowed in the con. But it's okay if you not get accepted today, try again for Saturday. Get a ticket for that day. Or if not, try Sunday. That should have it to where now things should kind of change, open up. But oh, excuse me. Um they should have a limit. Mask is required. If you want to take pictures of other people's cosplay, you have to be 6 feet away. No hugging, no touching, and have single day tickets. Don't have a 4-day weekend anymore because that deprives other people from having the opportunity to go to the cons because they are lowering the capacity. So only 10,000 can go this way today. Then only 10,000 the next day. But that would be your only ticket. You cannot go all 3 days because we have to give other people opportunities to come as well. I think that would be a great, option.
Yeah, no, I think it's a mess. And honestly, I mean, I had a really bad experience last July. Not in 2020, but in 2019. No, yeah, 2019, because no cons happened last year, and that was like my last experience, and I had a miserable con experience. And honestly, I don't know if I'm ever coming back.
Where?
This, I had a really bad experience at BlurredCon, and
Really?
it was bad, and
Tell
it
me
was,
what happened. Tell me what happened. Yeah, and we're talking about blurred con. So this is for con for people of color. Tell me, like, what happened?
they didn't put me on the schedule, and I'm doing a panel, didn't know my room number, bought a hotel room, not making any money, which is fine on losing money, spending my vacation. I live in DC, so it's like 15 miles away, so I didn't even need to stay in a hotel. And what wound up happening is that they didn't put me on the schedule. And I didn't know if my panel was going to happen the next night. Wasn't on the schedule. Then the woman, who was very, very not apologetic about it, when I first came, almost made it seem like it was my fault. And then my panel wasn't even on the website until like 10:15 of that morning that I was going to do it and where I was going to do it. And so here I am, and I'm doing a gay and lesbian panel, and the creators and pretty much the people who board that out there, and that's not even on the goddamn thing, and I just felt super insulted. And I actually canceled my panel that I was going to do the next week at Otakon because I was so disgusted with what happened.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry you experienced that.
And
And,
so I will
and
never
you
go
know
back.
what? And you know what? That's really disappointing coming from Blurred Con. That's supposed to be about a con that's supposed to be about acceptance and inclusion and for people of color. But I'm really disappointed to hear that. But I don't think that I don't feel like that takes away that there are kind, compassionate, inclusive people
It was
there.
it was it was a failure from leadership
Yeah,
collectively.
leadership. Yeah.
And I remember he said it at AwesomeCon, and I'm in that photo because my panel at AwesomeCon was right after the first BlurredCon. They did a panel how they want to expand outward in DC and in Virginia, and after 3 years, the BlurredCon, the third one, I felt shrunk, and I felt that con is not progressing. I feel like it's actually shrinking. And honestly, I find that concept is great, but they have a lot of bad leadership in that position, including one of the biggest mistakes they did is there's this guy named Andrew Iden. Andrew Iden was John Lewis's communication director before John Lewis passed away, and he wrote with Nate Powell March. That very, very important book about John Lewis marching with Martin Luther King down in Alabama over 3 things talking about civil rights. And you have Andrew Iden, legitimately, who speaks across the country on this topic. And March is one of the only graphic novels pushed out in all these libraries in like 6th grade all the way up through high school. And you have him legitimately 10 miles away from your con, and you didn't invite him. Bad leadership. Failure of leadership. Complete failure of leadership. And then the reason why I think, and it's going to sound messed up, is Andrew Iden is white.
You know what? I was getting ready to ask you that. I was getting ready to ask you, were you the only white guy that was maybe doing like the panel?
I mean, I do panels all over. I definitely was probably a minority at that con.
Okay.
I'm also a straight white guy doing a gay lesbian panel.
Yeah, see, coming from a black man, that's really messed up.
And it gets more messed up. I'll tell you the other side of the story. So this was my 3rd year there. In year 1, it was great. It was fun. It was an awesome con.
Okay.
It was cool. It was very accepting. It was very run professional, which leads me to believe that in year 2 it was okay. But they basically said to me, hey, because I submitted about 5 panels, because I just want to talk about this stuff. And what wound up happening is that they said, hey, could you do 2 more panels? I said, yeah, I'll do 1 more. And I was like, I'll do it on Sunday. Yeah, no problem, guys. Happy to talk about like Gundam, Mobile Suit Gundam. Nothing to do with anything. It's the women of Mobile Suit Gundam. And I developed, it was my first panel that I developed. And it's exploring anime through the women of it versus the men. Cool concept. Super interesting. Really, and I don't speak very highly of some of the women in that because they're not good women in Mobile Suit Gundam, and they're not good men either. Let's not. I'm not going to pretend here, and I give it like it is. And most people who are Gundam fans are like, "This is really cool, man. It's a cool concept because this isn't woman power. It's just saying, hey, we're just looking at the women and how the men are reacting to them and how they're reacting to the men, and with the war going on." So did that. My 2nd year, they basically said, hey, man, we're short panels. We're going to do 2 more. I said, hey, guys, I'm not doing the one at 12 o'clock. No offense. I'm going to be sleeping that year. We get it. But I picked up another panel in my 2nd year. And then my 3rd year, this happens. And it was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm a team player here for you guys. And then this is how I get treated. And you don't think that I don't know people. You don't think that. And meanwhile, I got my show going on. I'm a podcaster, and you really don't think that this isn't going to get around in my circles?
See, that really disappoints me. Because, I mean...
I've never, ever canceled a con appearance, and I was so disgusted after that 3rd year, I canceled Otakon. I was so pissed.
Yeah, and me, coming from my perspective, I deep down, only thing I can think of is because of your skin color. I mean, I don't really know.
No. I don't even think it was my skin color. I think the Andrew Iden thing was because of the skin color. I moved from Andrew Iden wasn't booked at that con or invited to that con because he's white. That, I think, was skin color based as a guest, which I think is fucked up. Because you got the expert. You got your champion who legitimately is speaking in probably 120 schools a year on this topic, who's a superstar, who's the most prominent guest. If you book him here and you didn't freaking bring him when he lives 10 miles away.
Yeah.
That I think was because he's white. What I think happened is complete incompetence, which is, I don't think and I don't view it that way with BlurredCon. I view it as complete incompetence, and I view it as complete failureship of leaders. I don't view it as my skin color.
Okay. So it's
I
just
didn't view it that way. You might view it that way. That's fine. I don't
okay.
think it was because of me being white at that time, because the
Okay.
two
Okay.
other
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That third
It
year
has to just
was
do with maybe leadership
it
skills.
was incompetence, and it was complete incompetence. And what bothered me more is that you guys didn't fix the problem immediately. You didn't say, "Hey, man, we messed up. We're gonna make sure you're taken care of on your website." Let's and the person at that con just said, "Yo, man, want to grab a beer?" Because something like that would have nursed the entire situation. And I wasn't looking for anything, and here I am, and I'm like, and I was completely thrown off my game. I did a really bad panel, and I'm never going back there again. And that was my last con that I attended in the last almost 2 years. And I can
Hmm.
tell you that I'm not coming to a con till 2022. And honestly, my attitude has changed completely.
Oh, okay. I might want to be careful going to BlurCon then messing with my friend Andrew. Who do they think they are? Yeah, I don't play that, especially when it comes to my, to my friends and my buddies.
I
No,
don't
no
appreciate it.
way.
Don't.
Huh?
I didn't appreciate it. I
I have.
understand fuck ups happen. And I think most people understand things happen. And I've
Yeah.
done 50 panels, and most of the time something bad happens. Somebody says, "Oh man, I messed up. I'm sorry." I'm like,
Right.
don't worry about it. No apology or anything like that. But that's how I feel about BlurCon. I think it's a cool con. I like the concept of it. I just think their leadership is horrendous.
Mm. Yeah. See. I've never been to a BlurCon, so I mean, I can't really speak on that because I don't really know what that's like. um, um,
You know who runs BlurCon. I mean, he was big in MomoCon down in Georgia.
no. Who? I don't know.
Hilton George.
Okay. Hilton George.
Hilton George, this was what makes it even worse. Hilton George is a veteran, and he was responsible for all of this. Not
Mhm.
necessarily my department, because he had obviously his panel expert, but when you have a situation and you're the head of a con, you're responsible for it,
Yeah.
regardless.
I
And
mean,
he's a veteran. He's a well-respected individual in the con world. He created an awesome concept, and you pissed me off on him, man. And he doesn't know it. And there's been somebody who said maybe they would reach out to see if me and Hilton could have a conversation. And boy, I would love a public conversation. I'm like, if anybody can make that happen who's watching this, please do, because honestly, I think a public conversation on what happened to improve BlurCon, as well as understand the pitfall and understand why I'm upset on this issue, would be so beneficial to me. It would be so beneficial. And look, the guy needs to hear that I canceled the con appearance
yeah.
because I was so upset.
And
And he's a con guy, so he's the head of a con who's helped to work on boards of cons. I think it'd be a productive conversation.
it just seems like to me it's a lack of common sense within the leadership because because to be quite frank, I'm a boss, I'm a store manager, like I have to run a store. So whatever happens, whatever mistreatment of a customer that may occur, like I'm held accountable for that. And
I
so
mean,
I have to make
I'll
sure.
get more information on this, so it's completely transparent. I, at this point, am asking to be paid for appearances at cons because I've done 50 of these. I run a podcast, and look, I'm asking for some assistance here. And
I
I said,
agree.
and look, my time isn't free. I'm lecturing. That's where they got confused. Is that I said, and I don't shoot an email 2 weeks before. I shoot an email 6 months before.
Right.
And I say, look, can we make this happen? And then they don't answer me. And then 2 weeks after I get it, I say, guys, what about this email? You have to answer me on this email. And that's where this woman and they got confused. So I understand they got confused. I didn't say I wasn't doing it, but I expect to be taken care of.
Exactly. I mean, I agree, especially when you're trying to.
If you can't pay me, you should let me know 6 months in advance, and then we will proceed from there. But I didn't just cancel. But you needed, and I asked, what about this email that I sent? I sent them the email, and I said, I shot you this 6 months ago. So I understand where they got confused. I get it. But at the same time, you still don't act that way. But that's how I feel about BlurredCon. And look, you know what is? I think that it has to be called out. I'm not gonna, and I have other issues with cons too. So they're not the only one at this point. Anime USA, I do not appreciate them right now, and I'm out of DC, so it doesn't really matter. I moved out of DC. I have no desire if they want me to come to that con, and for me to travel more than 30 miles, I have to be paid.
Right. I agree. 100% agree with you 100% because you know your talent, you know your skills. You're a businessman. You need to be paid for your talents. Like
I can't lose money on this point, but that BlurredCon thing was bad, and it rubbed me the wrong way on everything that I am. I'm a professional. I've legitly done a boatload of shit, and I'm not trying to blow smoke on my ass. I'm not trying to make this sound corny or anything. But what I figured out is that I have dealt with in the last year, from March 25th of 2020 to March 25th of 2021, about 130 guests across a variety of segments. Prior to that, on my other show, I've dealt with about 160 guests. 124 of them are more or less released at the moment. I still have to edit another probably 36 to 40, depending on where things are going. This year alone, I'm going to be doing 150. So, and I have been professional across the board. So at the end of 2021, I will have dealt with over 300 guests. So wow. I understand professionalism, and that was the issue. It's nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with anything else. They could run their con any which way. I'm okay with that. I deserve to be treated like a professional, regardless if I'm getting paid or not. And you not treat me like a professional, and I'm not getting paid on top of that. It's more fucked up. And I think it's the same way with you and cosplay. I really do. I think it's one of the biggest problems that cons have right now is that they do not know how to treat people like professionals. I'll give another example of this. There's a wrestler called Brittany Blake. Brittany Blake is on the indie scene. She goes to Anime USA because she lives in Washington, D.C. and in the DMV area. Boom. Here's the problem is that she's a big enough star that she could attract attention. Anime USA is oblivious to understanding who she is.
What?
So you have a wrestler who is legitimately wrestling for one of the companies that's sort of a feeder to WWE to some degree and trains a lot of wrestlers called MCW. It's a very, very well-respected company. Yeah. And they don't know who the fuck she is, which means that their leadership is failing.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you're stating facts. That means that leadership is failing if they don't know their research, if they don't know who they're bringing on.
Right up on Twitter. Said, hey, I'm going to Anime USA. This is the cosplay I'm wearing. And I'm like, do you not know how to look at Twitter? If I am ever to run an anime con, first place I'm looking is fucking Twitter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But wow. That's the whole BlurredCon story. And so complete transparency is that I shot a message 6 months ahead of time, asked to be paid, gave them my bio. Maybe it's not the greatest bio, greatest resume. Said, hey guys, no response. 2 weeks later, I get accepted. I'm like, hey guys, what about this email I sent? And then maybe miraculously they thought X that I wasn't going to show up. Not on the schedule. Never said I wasn't going to show up. They booked me. They gave me my 2 free tickets, which was nice and helpful. But and then I don't know where I'm presenting. I don't know what the hell's going on. And then I am furious. And then I feel like I did something wrong with it. Mm-hmm. And you know what is maybe what I should have said is I should have said, look, this isn't acceptable. Maybe I should have spoke to her boss. Maybe I should have said, look, I don't want to speak to you. How do we resolve this? Because I'm not a happy camper.
You know what? I feel like that's what you should have did. Because every boss has a boss, no matter who you are. Like
maybe I should have taken out my phone and said, hey, I'm recording this now, because I could put this phone down if this is going to be resolved in an economic way.
Right.
Maybe I should have done that because honestly, but I don't want to be a prick. I'm being 100% honest. And this is all live too right now. So this is what makes this even better is that there's no going back on this. I'm not editing any of this out because what happened is that I didn't do that and I was like, okay. And it changed my attitude at the con. It changed my attitude in conventions, and I hate to make you associated with this, but I need to say this is that every con that I deal with now, they have BlurredCon to thank for this new attitude. You guys made every con that I deal with now has BlurredCon to thank for this attitude and how I'm acting, and it takes a few instances, and there's been plenty of companies and plenty of nice people who have treated me well, and there's been plenty of companies that have treated me horrendously, and now this is what's happening, and every con. This is what I'm now gonna get everything I want out of it. And if you treat me badly, it's gonna be very difficult. And I think that's what needs to happen in the cosplay world too, to some degree. I really do. I think everybody now needs to understand that they are a content producer, and that everybody who has any skill needs to be paid for it.
I agree. I 100% agree with you. 100%. I definitely back you up on everything you're saying.
I don't want the con to fail. I just want a leadership change. I want them, and I don't even. It's not a race thing either. I want somebody in that company and in that con that says, "Okay, we need to handle customer service, and we need to handle our shit well, and we need to adapt, and we need to get out of our bubble a little bit and understand that the most important person at that con is 3 groups." It's 4 groups technically, and they all need to be happy. It's the panelists, it's the guests, it's the vendors, and it's the people that are buying the tickets.
Yep.
And it's 4 groups, it's not 2.
I agree. Yeah, and that's a great leadership. And yeah, that's what a great leader does. So I mean, I agree with you. There's been some changes. Oh, excuse me. Oh my gosh, I'm just burping on live. Having drinks make you do that.
But that's what happened with me. And look, I don't want that con to fail. I think that con's great. I think that con was great because I think that con was definitely done for LGBTQ, Black people, people of color, and minorities. And I think that it was a great concept because, unfortunately, in our society, and this is coming from somebody who leans right, is that people in those subsections of society have not been given a fair share for the longest time.
Yeah, for the longest time.
I was on a show where I'm a big wrestling fan, and a bunch of people I know just wrestled for a show called Butch vs. Gore, called the Cassandra Cup. It was a all LGBTQ talent wrestling, and Cassandra is like the pioneer of a gay wrestling, and very much like a lucha libre gay wrestler who has paved the path for countless wrestlers. And I was on a show that somebody said, "Oh, that's what that is that's separate but equal." And I made the argument to say, no, that's capitalism. That what these people have done, and what this group of people had, they created an opportunity where nobody said we're going to hire these people, or these people have fewer opportunities. And what this company did is they said, we're going to go build our own, and we're going to build it better than everybody else's. So I don't think that they're going to market to everybody else. So I don't think that's separate but equal. I don't. I think that's called capitalism.
That is, yep. That is capitalism.
I made that argument, and then it's not a political argument. It's saying, look, if somebody's not giving you an opportunity, you go build it. And that's what I think BlurredCon was in many ways. I think it's a very good thing, and I think they said, we're going to go build something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And everybody's welcome here. I mean, look, I'm a straight white guy doing a gay and lesbian panel with primary sources of material.
And you know what? And that's one thing I've been curious about BlurredCon, because I've been curious to know, like, are they really inclusive, or is it like pro-Black and pro?
I think they were very inclusive, actually. I really think that. But
yeah, because I've been to one, so I don't really know what it's like. So, and the reason why I haven't been to one, because I've been a little on the fence, like, oh, okay, because in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, they're probably just pro-Black. They're probably like mistreat, people that are white or that are like Hispanic, but that's not the case, right?
Not that I saw. Not that I saw. I thought it was pretty reasonable. I thought that I was treated decently my first and my second year.
Okay, I mean that's amazing to know now, since I was never really aware.
This is what makes this even worse. Is that I'm the best advocate for them. That's what's insane about this. You have somebody who is not your target advertising for you. That's a victory. It's kind of like if you have your political enemy saying, "Well, you know, that guy campaigned like a monster, and man, he fought in the trenches for this seat." And I gotta say, you know, it's kind of like sometimes when a president concedes, right? So when George W.H. conceded to Bill Clinton, I mean, that's a very big thing. And the reason why I use that political analogy is because that means your enemy has conceded and said, "Hey, you know, you deserve that win," right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
So when I say BlurredCon is very inclusive and they're a great con, I think, and then their concept's great. I just think that they did a shitty job with me. They treated me bad, not based on my skin color and my
of course.
just failure of leadership. So I don't want anybody to think this con's racist. That's not what I'm saying, and I'll defend that position. What I will say is that they got a leadership problem, they have a growth problem, and that third year was not as hot as that first year and was not as good as that second year. And it was a problem.
That's not good.
And they say you want to expand outward and they want to go to the next big hotel and not go into DC, but they want to go out of DC. There's all these hotels.
Well, you know, coming from me being a boss in my daytime job, I still have a boss. And every time when something's not working, I always I'm always held accountable every single time.
Their boss and the guy who's the head of it is not the good leader. So the only boss is the customer.
And that's what I'm getting ready to say. If it's a situation where like money is going down, then their bosses need to see that. Their bosses need to call them and have some corrective conversations with them and get them together, because I mean
they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing, and that third year showed me a whole different light. But it's a real problem with the Commonwealth, and this is why I don't know if I'm ever coming back. And I'll be 100% honest. I'd rather do this anyway. For me to build a panel takes about anywhere from 10 to 15 hours, and then it takes another probably 8 hours to develop a concept on top of that, and then it takes me probably 20 to 30 hours to build the panel. That's an hour-long panel from start to finish. That doesn't mean that I mean, I'm not going 30 hours straight, but what it means is that there's a lot of effort that goes into this. For me to build an interview now, it takes me anywhere from 3 to 5 hours plus an hour or 2 hours recording. And so there's a big difference in time. And my panels don't, I mean, while 250 people go and sit in my room sometimes, it's not the same as marketing it online. I have a legitimate product with this where I can go and take this 15 different ways and cut it up. I legitimately can divide this interview into 10 parts, and now I have 10 videos that I can put on 10 different social media platforms and produce 100 pieces of content. I could put this entire thing into a podcast. It's on Facebook Live, it's on Twitch, it's on YouTube. I could re-upload it onto YouTube. I could reload it up into shorter clips on a secondary YouTube channel. I could break up pieces off of it and talk about it. I could remarket it into groups from 3 months from now to push it out there. And so the amount of content position I get from an interview like this is anywhere from 50 to 150 pieces. On a panel, I get maybe 10.
Oh, wow.
And viewership is significantly more, because I'll just to drop this, and this is so off topic, but it's so interesting. So I could put this into, I just joined a Resident Evil cosplay group. Boom, your interview's going into that in the next 3 to 4 days. I joined a Tomb Raider group. It's going into that. It's going into, I'm going to join a Georgia group because you're in Georgia. I'm going to join an Alabama because I have a connection down there. I'm going to figure out, I'm going to throw it into a San Diego Comic-Con. And you think I'm going to not tweet this out at San Diego? Guys, he was just on. He was accepted into San Diego. You don't think that you have, obviously a few more Resident Evil groups are out there. We're going to talk about Tomb Raider. We can talk about Superman. All these other groups that can be part of it, or How to Cosplay, or Cosplay California, or Cosplay Arizona. I'll sneak it right into there because they don't check. And boom, I just put you into 30 or 40 groups, this interview, which then drives traffic, which then drives it, and then I tag your Facebook page. Then I can start tweeting about it 4 or 5 times a year on autopilot, essentially. I then put it up on YouTube. I could then, figure out how to put something up on Instagram, which I've been lacking in and taking a break from Instagram heavily. But all of a sudden, there's a lot of marketability. So right now, it's not a social. And then let's say 3 months from now, I take a month off. Boom, I'll just fire you off really quick into 10 other cosplay groups. And even though this is an older interview, boom, I restir the pot and I get maybe 50 more views onto it. And so with panels, this is why I don't want to go back to cons, because this is so much more effective. And I can do so much more work in minimal time.
Yeah.
And I can get everything that I want from a con minus a commission from my house. I could legitimately send books to CGC to get signed now.
Yep. And the great thing is the fact that it's convenient because you're at home. You have to go anywhere.
What's even crazier is that I might not even go back to CGC because I'm making more money from raw books.
Right.
Selling a raw book, not doing anything, taking it and buying it for $25, selling it for $60. And then it's crazy. I mean, I just made a bunch of sales. I had a client who wanted a book, and he was a first-time buyer on eBay. And I asked him a simple question: when he bought one book, he bought it, didn't even negotiate. I would have happily negotiated. Hopefully, he's not watching. But what wound up happening? I don't think he's watching my Facebook Live stuff or YouTube. Maybe he is, though. I don't know. But if he offered me $5,000, I would have taken it. But then I said, "Hey, is there anything else you need? Or anything else you want?" Because I had a bunch of stuff up there. He's like, "Oh man, I want that book. What would you do for me?" I said, "Free shipping on that book because I'm going to combine it with this order, and I'll take $5 off." He said, "Oh, I'm in, man." He said, "Is there anything else you need, man?" And I said, "I'm listing 3 other books." I listed another book. Boom, book said, "I'll take $5 off, free shipping, man." And all of a sudden, I took a $60 sale and I turned it into I turned it into a $200 sale.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 of those books had a carry time of about 3 weeks, which is the fastest time I've ever turned around a comic book in my life. And I'm not saying I'm getting rich off of this, but my point is that before COVID, I couldn't do that.
Right.
Now I can move serious money around. Then obviously there's eBay fees and all sorts of stuff. And obviously I pay for the items themselves. And then all of a sudden I take out the profits, and it's an awesome business model. And this is what I'm teaching in my comic class. But my idea here is that I couldn't do that 12 months ago, 14 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I can do that, and it's wonderful, and it's awesome. That's why I don't think I'm ever going back. I don't think I'm ever going back.
Hey, man, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
I'll do 2 cons a year. I'll speak 4 times a year as a panelist, but I don't know if I want to go back. I don't know. Because to me, it seems that cons are stupid, and it seems to me that I could sell and make more money doing what I'm doing as long as I can access books.
I mean, yeah, because at the end of the day, I feel like conventions are really about them. They're not really about their consumer or their client,
The only thing I want from a con is I want an artist commission that I then get graded, and that's the only thing I can get from a con. Because I want it graded because it protects the book. It's not even a value thing. It's the idea that I want, it to be, oh, this is a sketched book. My point is that at this stage, I don't need anything from a con, and there you go. So that's how I feel about all this. And this is just with COVID benefits me because there's an abundance of money, and I'm very good at picking books, finding books, and selling comics. And I have a big comic collection, and I have a big collection and I just pulled a bunch of books today to sell that I'm going to be listing in the next 3 to 4 weeks on eBay. And my goal is to list like another 30 to 40 books this month.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And I have decent profit margins. And so why would I ever want to go back to the old thing where my profit margins were 15% after I paid for a bunch of cons to get access to my books?
I mean, yeah, right. I mean, that just makes logical sense. I mean,
versus having a 30% or 40% or 50% profit margin.
Mhm.
Profit margin, not gross profit. There's a big difference.
Right. Wow. I
Meaning
mean,
that the item is paid for and then my profits get calculated, which is insane. So if I spend $100 for a book and I have a 50% profit margin, that means that that shipping is 10 and eBay charges 13%. We're at 23, and then I have a 50%. So I've made over $123, and then my 50% kicks in. So whatever 50% of 123 is what I made.
wow. Wow. I mean,
You don't get rich doing this individual books. You get rich doing this on hundreds and hundreds of books.
right. Yeah. Wow. And you know, I'm just flabbergasted because I just me as a consumer who shows up to cons dressed up. I just buy the tickets and I just show up. I'm not really a part of the production. I'm not part of the staff, or I'm not part of
Why do you think I started doing panels at cons?
the panels. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I'm not a part of the
Why
panel.
do you think I started? No, seriously, why do you think I started?
Huh?
Why do you think I started doing panels at cons? It was a free ticket.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing of it. And then after a while, after doing 50 of them, I'm like, I should be paid for this.
Right. Yeah. And I just don't like. I'm just not aware that this stuff happens. You know, because like I said, me, I'm just a consumer. I just show up in my cosplay. I have a great time. I don't really know how it is for you as a client that's trying to work for the con and but still sell your own products. Like I don't know how that is. I don't know that.
What's even crazier is that all I wanted in the beginning, after doing 20 cons and 20 panels and becoming decent at this, and even on my 40th, all I wanted a little shout out in the goddamn pamphlet or in the little book. That's all I wanted. I didn't want money. I didn't need people's money. I needed the credibility.
Mm-hmm.
Because I understood very early on that credibility will make me more money, because if all of a sudden I am doing a podcast panel and I'm telling people how to do podcasting, they give me a little blurb in the book of who I am, saying this guy is a really good podcaster, he's done 100+ interviews, he's going to give you a bunch of information, and I have a little blurb on it. Nothing that's going to cost the con too much money. It's going to not cost them anything.
Mm-hmm.
So right. They're going to come to my thing, and now they're going to come to me, and now I have credibility because this con gives me credibility, and then I can say, "Oh man, this con just booked me. Anime USA just booked me. Hey, awesome, man, you want to book me? Hey, Georgetown, you want to book me? Hey, this other con, you want to book me? Hey, this Virginia con, you want to book me? Hey, Anime USA, you want to book me?" And all of a sudden, I'm now getting credibility, and it's not costing them money. And then all of a sudden, I do 15 of those, and I say, "Hey, my rate is this. I just want a hotel room, and then I'll be happy to come." And that blurb, and then you build out. That's all I wanted. I just wanted a little credibility because that would have expanded my business and given me the accelerant. And that's what they didn't understand. This is called a failure of negotiation. Is that when you don't understand what somebody wants and why they want it, people don't want money. I don't want your money. I don't need your money. Now I want your money. Because now I've come to the realization that if you give me $500, guess what I'm going to do? If you give me $500 in a hotel room, I'm literally going to pump that $500 into Facebook ads. No, seriously. If somebody wants to sponsor the show, legitimately, your money is going to go into Facebook ads. It's not going into my pocket. I'm going to go pump, if I had a sponsor, and they wrote me a $400 check for 100 episodes, right? That $400 is going to be spent and pumped into Facebook ads.
Yeah.
To just grow my page likes, which is going to grow their audience, which is actually going to help their underline because now more people are into it, and it helps me tremendously because now my audience expands. Everybody wins because I get what I want. All I want is I just want a way to finance my expansion on Facebook ads or push out the podcast or push out the YouTube channel, something of that nature. So again, once you understand what somebody wants, it's super easy. All a con had to do is give me what I wanted. It would have not cost them any money. They would have gotten somebody who actually gave a fuck and is really talented. And now I'm pissed off, and I don't know if I'm ever coming back. And let's face it, there's not that many good panelists around. And this isn't me blowing smoke up somebody's ass. I'm very good at my job, and I'm a very good panelist. There's a reason why I have sold out panels legitly next to 2 people who were getting paid at cons, and their rooms were empty, and I speak after, and they were not happy. And you see me, maybe my 5th panel out there, and I have filled up a room. I'm sitting at the dais, and it's just lining in and row in by row in by row in by row in by row in. And I'm like, this is awesome.
Wow, that is incredible.
But
yeah,
I don't really care. I think cons are dead, man. I think this is the future. I really do. And I even think anybody who's in the cosplay world, I think this is the future.
Oh man, that's kind of harsh.
I think the online space is bigger than ever, and I think that's the future.
I agree. Yeah, and then online's free.
I think that the real opportunity, and I think all these the top 50 cosplayers, and I know some of them, and they're nice people. Some of them are nice people, and some of them are horrific people.
Oh yeah, that's I don't really like them. Like
I don't like them either.
Yeah, the ones that have like over 200,000 followers or 500,000 followers. You meet them, and they're like this.
So I will say this though, one of the nicest people is Danielle DiNicola. She's so nice, and she's great. Mm-hmm. She's got like 600,000 Instagram followers, probably more now. But she's really down to earth, and she's really down to earth. And so she, but there are a few in between. My point that I'm trying to make is that I think a bunch of those people are going to have a rude awakening, because the future of cons is the combination of having a physical con with the virtual con. And so that is the future of this entire industry. And it's going to be very interesting, because there's going to be legal battles over this also in the next 10 years of who owns what, with panels on the virtual side, of different things on the virtual side, character owns of the virtual side. I mean, it's going to be a very, very, very interesting business, and it's not going away. The virtual stuff is not going away.
Of course not.
It's bigger than ever, and so you should make yourself a virtual cosplayer.
I mean, it kind of sucks, because me personally, I like to be physically.
Oh, you could still physically be there, but you should be virtually too.
Oh yeah.
You absolutely should, because you should get on that boat right now. And I don't know how it's going to come out the way it's going to come out, but whatever you can get in on virtually, it's going to be amazing.
Heck yeah, because that can give us an opportunity to grow our platform on social media very easily, because the internet's very.
I would approach a small con, and I'm going to start doing it as well, where I am very much going to look for small cons with virtual platforms. And look, there's a bunch of stuff like GalaxyCon. There's a bunch of virtual stuff, and I almost feel like saying to them and writing them an email. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Say, look, guys, I see you doing all this stuff with all these voice actors and stuff, but have you guys ever thought about doing stuff with panels virtually? Because I know a bunch of friends, and we're down with it. Where you guys own the video, but you don't own the content in the video. But I digress. It's a whole big ball game. It's a whole like 30-minute deep delve, all live. That's probably gonna get me into trouble, and you too. So congratulations. Clearly, we're not getting anybody back to BlurredCon, or I'm not. You're probably not either after this discussion.
Well, yeah, I'm a little worried. I mean, like, I haven't really been there before. I mean, I don't know. But me, I mean, personally, I'd rather go to New York Comic Con than BlurredCon. Not that I have anything against being black. I mean, I'm a black man, and I'm a person of color. Because I think the idea behind this is, like you mentioned, is great. But I'm not opposed to going, but I feel like it wouldn't be the first option.
So let me ask you a question, because, and it's a controversial question, and I'm super curious. Do you want to be known as an LGBT person of color cosplayer, or do you want to be known as, I came up with this awesome Lara Croft cosplayer, and I happen to be the other thing first? So which is it? Because I have a disability, and I'll state this. I have a very physical disability. I walk around with crutches. I don't want to be known as a disabled interviewer. I want to be viewed as an interviewer with a disability. And the reason
Okay.
why, it doesn't mean I'm dismissing my disability, but I want my qualification to be the same as a Howard Stern, who's an interviewer, or a Larry King, or a Joe Rogan. I don't want because I feel that if you put I'm a disabled interviewer, that's dismissing and watering down my interview because you're putting
I
a
agree.
label
I
on my
agree.
position. So I don't view you as a black cosplayer. I view you as a cosplayer who happens to be black. There's a
Yeah.
difference between the two, and it's not taken away from your experiences or in any way. And I know this could get me in trouble, and you can stop me and disagree with me completely. But I view you as a cosplayer. You are on my show because I like your cosplay.
Yeah.
You're not on my
Yeah.
show
Thank
because of any
you.
other reason. I didn't
Yeah.
even know that you were gay until I was interviewing you.
Yeah.
It had
Yeah.
nothing to do with why I wanted you on my show.
Yeah. I want to be known as DJ Croft. That is known as DJ Croft. That is that is
You
just
want to be known for
happening.
your concept,
Yeah.
but that's not dismissing anything else because that comes into it. But my point I'm trying to make is that I think that's the way it should go. Your concept is
It should
brilliant.
go.
And I'm going to say this is that other people probably have copied your concept, which is great, which means that you're onto something.
I wonder who. Yeah.
No. You get what I'm saying though. Where
Yeah.
if somebody copies your content and says, "I think I can do this gender bend of embracing this character and take it to the next level," that means that you're onto something.
Oh man. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And to answer your question, yeah, I want to be known as DJ Croft. That is just so happens to be black and just happen to be gay. I don't want to be known as the gay black LGBT DJ Croft. No, you're putting a stigma on me. Like I'm more than that. I'm
And
a
you're
human
boxing
being.
you in. It's very much a box.
Yeah, yeah. I'm first of all, I'm a human being. It's more to me than just that. That's just a part of me. I want to be known for my creativity, my art, and yes, I am making a difference. But that because of um, because I'm not the ideal all American type person that people think I should look like. But that
Did you know
comes
what
along.
the average American is? Have you seen that John Cena commercial? What the average American is?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh my God! I'm gonna send this to you because it's the most shocking commercial ever. Because what you
Okay.
just said is that the average American is like 30 pounds overweight, is a woman who's like 5'6". It's like all this statistics. The average American is not like a macho white male man who's like 6'2". It's like this commercial was a commercial for celebrating the 4th of July. There was like
Mhm.
no political tie to it. You have John Cena just walking down a boulevard talking about giving all this statistics. What an amazing commercial. What an
Wow.
amazing
Okay.
commercial.
Yeah, definitely send it to me. I'm interested.
And he's like 51% are women, and it was this entire stigma of stuff, and he was dropping all these statistics. Great thing, but sorry to cut you off. Continue, please.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah. Oops. I think my camera just moved. But yeah, I want to be known as that guy. That individual. Not by that. That's just ridiculous.
Exactly. See that's what I say with me. I want to be known as an interviewer or as an investor or as the comic book guy or a comic book investor. My disability has nothing to do with
Has
any
nothing to do with what you're doing. Exactly.
on an intellectual level. Now, no. We have to acknowledge, and I want to make this clear, that I have been passed over without a doubt because of my disability. I have not gotten jobs because of my disability. No question about that. I can't prove it, but I know it. I don't think that is my view, but I definitely, and my intelligence is not affected by my disability. the way I can do an interview isn't. And I also would imagine that being LGBTQ, being black, there have been circumstances where you have been passed over without a doubt. That is
Yeah,
open statement.
I have. And
But
certain behaviors and certain stigmas towards me because of those two, categories. I've experienced.
and look, I'm going to say this too. There would have been stigmas, LGBTQ, if you were white or any other race. Those stigmas would exist, but obviously, when you combine a bunch of other stuff, stigmas could get stacked on each other without a doubt. So I am not dismissing that at all, and then I'm acknowledging that because that is a fact, and it is important to acknowledge that in this thing, because I understand it not from being LGBTQ or black, in case you can't see, it's a pretty obvious thing that I'm not black here, everybody. I know people are shocked. It's okay, I can make that joke because it's an acceptable joke. I'm assuming it's an acceptable joke, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I just want to make that joke clear right there. But obviously, with all that, so yeah. But I know the exact idea of what it looks like when somebody passes you over. I have a story that I'm not going to tell on the air, but I could see it in somebody's eyes of how they looked, and the look of disapproval because of seeing two crutches, and they didn't want me working near them, and then that's sword, and it's a horrifying experience. Most people in America do not deal with that. It's horrifying. It's very scary.
Oh no! Yeah, I could just see.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I do. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's a very degrading feeling.
I don't even know. I mean, it sounds fucked up when I'm going to say it. It was beautiful. The pureness of it, and I know that sounds messed up when I say it, but man, it was beautiful to the pureness of it. I've never, and some people might not understand what I'm explaining, but it was 100% disdain. I've never ever seen that in my life, and I don't know if that's ignorance. I've seen racist things, I've seen discrimination, but I've never seen it 100%. And oh my God, I was just like, okay. And I was upset for like a good day or two out of it, and I was massively confused on it too. And then I mean 100%. And that is super rare. But I digress.
Wow. Yeah. It's just, you know what? That happened to me one time as well. I got denied a job by a lesbian.
Oh shit! I'm so sorry. This is so messed up.
Yes, and she was a white LGBT, older lady. She denied me a job at a gym like years back.
Let me ask you a question though. Were you jacked like you are right now?
Yeah, I mean, I've already been saying. Yeah, and the thing is, because my name is Devontae, so she was like, "Oh no, I don't hire Devontaes here," and she just kindly smiled in my face after she said that, and I'm just like, "Is she serious right now?" And you can tell she's butch, like the butch lesbian. She's just kind of like a guy and everything with a short haircut. So I walked out and I was like, okay, I never really experienced that before. And for it to come from someone that is supposed to be an LGBT advocate or a person, that's really it's really hurtful and disappointing because you would
so weird. Who's your allies and shit? It's
yeah.
so
I
weird.
don't think the lady knew I was gay or anything because she saw me as just a person, but I mean it's disappointing that those kind of people exist. Because you expect them to be positive and supportive, or not to be
So in her instance, maybe it wasn't anti-gay. Maybe it was just racist.
right from an LGBT Caucasian lady.
Which shows the point that just because you're in one subsection doesn't mean that you can't be racist.
Apparently not. And it's so sad.
It's weird. Okay, so the organization I was interviewing with, and person's out of office now, but they were it was a Democrat office I was interviewing at. I would tend to think that if you see somebody on crutches who is that you wouldn't have that disdain if you're on the left.
Right.
You would think. What's crazy is that I've worked for veteran offices, and those offices, are purple on issues, and obviously they're advocating for veterans, and people have personal beliefs, and then some of those people are on the right, and no problem with it, made accommodations, no questions. And maybe if there was a veterans office, and I've had veteran bosses, and maybe they just got it because they're like, oh man, somebody has a problem, but they're cognitive, and people in the military have problems. My point is that it's crazy about this shit, and this is all over at conventions, all over at cons. It is without a doubt effective in a variety of methods, and let's call a spade here, and that's kind of what it is. And that's why I like virtual cons, because guess what? On a virtual con, if you don't send a bio to somebody, they don't know your face until they see you at a virtual con.
Yeah.
Even at a a regular con, you just put a common name, which is cool. They don't know what your entire position is. But I digress right there. Super confident. We spoke about a lot of shit today. I don't even know how the fuck I'm gonna market this shit. But anyhow, clearly we covered just a lot of stuff that's pretty much politics, cosplay, video games, and everything in between.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And we took a shotgun to BlurredCon.
Yeah, took a shotgun to them.
And we also took a shotgun to our invitations to BlurredCon.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, because like I was saying, I'm not opposed to going, but I mean, I've always been more interested in other cons too, like more cons that are more diversity inclusion. But you said that they are inclusive and diverse, so I haven't really.
Again, I just think that I think their guest policy might be racist of who they bring in as a guest on a con. But as far as the open panels, I think they're pretty diverse. So I just am viewing that as my opinion. So I think from a guest perspective, they are not necessarily being inclusive as far as guests. But look, it's their con, and I get it. It's a black con. I don't really care. They can do that, and that's not my prerogative to go ape shit over that. It's not my help to die on either. But professionalism is a problem. It doesn't matter whatever I am, because if I was black at that con, the same problem would have happened, regardless of my skin color on my issue. So I think that third year professionalism is not a race position, nor am I claiming it to be that, because clearly it was just an unprofessional circumstance.
Oh God, that was so crazy.
And so as far as them being inclusive, I found all the people outside of the leadership super friendly. I found a bunch of staff to be friendly. I found a bunch of people that I was running into the hall friendly, happy to be there, happy that they have something for them, not that that's actually lifting them up. And look, I'm a proponent of it. I'm super excited for it. I just think they need a change in leadership. And I think and not a complete overhaul, but they need a better customer service position, and they also need to listen and understand why somebody like me got upset. They need to understand why I got upset.
It sounds like Crystal Dynamics to me.
Sounds like what?
Like Crystal Dynamics to me with Tomb Raider.
If you understand why somebody got upset, then you could solve it, and then you cannot repeat the problem. But again, I'm legitimately gonna cut this up and send it to them. I'm gonna be like, hey guys, check out the last hour of this, because this is how I feel. And somebody said they were gonna try to do something. I might press them again, see if we could get a discussion, Because honestly, if me and Hilton George have a discussion, private or public, I guarantee you in 15 minutes, he's like, you know what? I get why you were upset. And you know, so I'm going to do something. I'm going to improve my con. Thank you. Because I'm not trying to destroy the con. I don't want to destroy BlurredCon. If I have to destroy it, I will. No, because if it gets to the point where it has to become public, like I want a public conversation because I think there's a lot of good that can come out of this public conversation, both talking about BlurredCon, talking about the entire industry, and then talking about the incident, because I think it could be a very, very productive conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
But I would like to do it privately first, if possible, because I think in a 15-minute conversation, me and then him and maybe the staff member who fucked up, if she's still on staff, can learn from it, and they can say, you know what, how do we make you feel better about what happened? Because I need to feel better. They need to know that I canceled an outing for me. So I was upset. But again, it's not about me, and I'm not trying to label you with me into this circumstance. So on that note, I'm going to let you self-promote. It's because we've been speaking for 3 hours, and clearly we just covered a boatload of shit.
Yeah, I know, right? 3 hours covering a lot of stuff.
Hey, I'm taking Rogan's position.
Huh?
I'm taking Joe Rogan's position.
Yeah, you need to take his position quick. Yeah.
So obviously, kidding aside about me taking Joe Rogan's position, because clearly Spotify doesn't call me yet. Soon, hopefully. But one of the things is that obviously I know you got a Twitter. I know you got an Instagram. Do you have a Facebook page yet? I don't remember.
Yeah, I do.
Obviously, where can people find you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter? Where can people find that movie that's dropping on Friday? Where can people find the other movies? Because obviously I want people to check that stuff out. And you have a website, and what's going on with you beyond all of this? Because I don't know if you're doing cons or virtual cons or anything of that nature, but anything you got to promote, shoot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. So yeah. So anyone can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube as DJ Croft. I keep it simple, keep it short, so I can make it easier for people to follow me, so to find me. So on Facebook, yeah, just find me at DJ Croft. I've had my Facebook for quite a few years now, since 2017. So yeah, I'm on there. You know, especially if you're on Facebook, find me there. Follow me on there. The support really does help. You don't understand the support. If someone can just hit that follow button, or that subscribe button, you don't understand how that makes me feel. Like, it really makes me feel humble and really good to know that people like my content. And I don't beg people to follow me. I just offer. Because I'm not about forcing people to like my content, but it really does help if I can get a like and a follower, because it just shows that making an impact. You know, Same thing with YouTube. It's DJ Croft. It's easy to find me there. That's where you can find all of my fan films that I've done with Tomb Raider on YouTube. You know what? I've been really curious to do a Resident Evil fan film, but that will be difficult because we're talking about I have to find people who can beat zombies, and we have to do it in a city-like environment. And it just that I really want to be Alice so bad in the real film, but it has to happen on a mainstream production. But that could be another conversation for another time. But yeah, for my new trailer that I'm doing, it's only gonna be like 50 seconds to a minute. A little short trailer, but it is still a part of the same universe as my Tomb Raider fan films. So it's still a part of that same saga. It's just a shorter little trailer. That's why it's not really considered a fan film, because fan films are longer. But that's going to be on social media, on all the social medias: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and it's going to be on YouTube as well. So you guys are going to see it once I post it. Because once you hit that like button and that subscribe button, you'll be able to see my content and you'll be able to know when I post. But yeah, it's going to be all over social media. I'm also on TikTok. So I'm trying TikTok. It's also DJ Croft. Like I said, I'm keeping my names the same because that's what I am. DJ Croft. So I'm trying TikTok out. You can find me there if you really want to see my TikToks. So yeah, I'm just kind of all over the place. Yeah.
Well, on that note, and I've been saying it, and I think I said it the last time, and I'm going to say it again. I said it last night too, and I'm going to say it again on Friday, my next interview. You got to support indie. And that means you got to support indie creators, indie cosplayers, indie wrestlers, support anything indie and the people that you like, because it does matter. It is super important. And typically the way that you should support people is financially. And that means throw money, whatever merch they got, prints they got, if they got buy me a coffee, a Patreon, anything like that. Obviously, throw money that way. If they don't have something, ask. If they have a button, super helpful. You know, if you like what you see, definitely support people, especially during COVID. But again, if money is tight in your life, and I get it, there's a lot of damage COVID has done to people.
Yeah.
We're not out of the woods just yet. Just because everybody's getting vaccinated, it's rolling out, and it looks like we're turning the corner on the vaccination doesn't mean that the damage hasn't already been done. And so make sure that if you are in an economic hard time, make sure your rent's paid, your mortgage is paid, make sure electricity is on, you got water, food, shelter, make sure your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, partner, they're all good. If you got kids, your kids are good. You know, super, super important. Make sure you're good. Make sure that everything is okay in your life. Make sure your pets are good. Those things are super important. And also make sure that you have money for the next month and the month after, and really start taking care of yourself.
Right. And stop spending those stimulus checks. People, save it. Use it for months coming.
In fact, cool fact, everybody, 80% of people who've gotten their stimulus check, so 80% of Americans have debt. And I think like 60% out of that 80 have either used that money for core household things, such as groceries, utilities, or for paying off debt. Super interesting. A bunch of Americans are actually super responsible with their stimulus checks. But again, with that stimulus check, you should not be spending a boatload of that money on things that you don't need. You should be taking care of yourself, making sure you got money for tomorrow, because we are far from out of this thing. And as I was saying before, and obviously that is super important. I've been saying it for the last year. So please be responsible with that. If you have it, be an adult, I think is the answer. Now, having said all that, if you are in that money position, the next thing that you should do, and you should be doing it anyway, is following people on social media. That's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook pages, websites, email lists. Obviously, DJ Croft has a TikTok, and that's new. TikTok's a big one. If you're not on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, or you only like Instagram, but you like TikTok, you should be following on both of those things. If you are supporting economically or asking for donations, or hey, can I send you something, or can I help you out, something like that, you should also be following on social media, because it does make a difference. You don't have to do all of them. You should be doing at least one of them, if not two of them. I get it. Some people love Instagram and they hate Facebook. Completely get it. Some people love TikTok and they hate everything else. Some people love Twitter and they're not fans of Facebook. I'm totally cool with all that. Obviously, YouTube is super cool. A lot of those fan films are up there. Friday, another one's dropping. There's a 50-second trailer, so definitely check that out. So obviously, something is out there to float your boat, and I'm sure that at some point, DJ Croft might go on Vimeo or something else as well out there. So always possibilities. There's a lot of cool video content stuff out there. So yeah, definitely. That's pretty much what you should be doing, regardless if you're supporting economically. But if you're not supporting economically, support socially, because it does make a difference. And on that note, I'm going to give you the final word.
Okay. Well, hey, guys, thanks for tuning in to watch us on our live. And I want to say thank you again, Andrew, for having me again on your series. And I'll to the next time. I definitely want to do this again with you. This is incredible. I honestly feel like I've made a new friend, seriously. Like, you're so nice, so easy to talk to, and we relate on a lot of stuff. So I hope in the future, we can do this again. And I want to say thank you for having me again for the second time. It's been a pleasure to get to explain more, which goes into a photo shoot and behind the scenes. Actually, you're the first person who has actually asked me doing interviews, what was the day like doing the shoot? How was the background? You know, how was behind the scenes? Because I've been very curious to talk about those things with people because it's just not easy. So, you know, thank you for that. And of course, like we stated, that like and that support, that like and that follow really does matter. If you can go shoot out to his page, if you're not already following him, and like him on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, like that would really help out a lot for him as well. So that's all I have to say. Happy spring. This is one of my favorite seasons. Yeah. So, yes.
And I could have said it better myself.
Huh?